The Arsenal team, without so many of their new signings, and of course many of their regular players unavailable as well, as we're underway. Mesut Ozil and Sead Kolasinac both at home due to security incidents in recent days. Lacazette has been nursing an ankle injury, but he is on the bench. And Arsenal without so many defenders. Kieran Tierney, the new signing from Celtic. Hector Bellerin as the first attack for Aubameyang goes into the penalty area. He does get a shot on target, it's saved, but he was offside anyway. Bellerin holding, Mavropanos, Tierney all unavailable for Arsenal. So here is how the teams line up. Dubravka in goal for Newcastle. We've got Lascelles, Cher and Dummett with Manquillo and Ritchie. Then Hayden, Longstaff and Shelvey in the midfield. And Miguel Almiron, the Paraguayan, with Joe Linton, the new Newcastle number 9. And he's easy to spot. Big, tall, bleached blonde hair. You won't miss him up front. The Arsenal team, Bernd Leno now wearing number 1. He's taken over the number 1 shirt from Petr Cech, who's retired. Back four, Maitland-Niles, Chambers, Socrates and Monreal. Two holding midfielders, Xhaka, Guendouzi, with Mkhitaryan, Reiss Nelson, Joe Willock and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang completing the 11. Reiss Nelson, who was on loan at Hoffenheim last season, and Chris, you spotted looking at the team sheet before kick-off. Joe Linton, he came from Hoffenheim, so those two will be familiar faces to each other on opposing teams today. Here come Newcastle over the halfway line on the right-hand side, and a chance for Almiron to try and press towards the byline. Well shepherded out of play, strong defending, and out that goes for a goal kick to Arsenal away to our left. Chambers was strong and managed to not take a touch in shielding it out of play.
Well, if you actually look at Arsenal, they're playing a 4-2-3-1, and Newcastle have gone with the old-fashioned 4-4-2, where we thought they'd play 4-3-3. Ritchie on the left, Almiron on the right. He hasn't. He's playing as a striker alongside Jolinton. So Newcastle 4-4-2.
Granit Xhaka has given the ball away. Groans from the Arsenal fans. Housed high up to our left-hand side, but it breaks down on the edge of the Arsenal penalty area for Newcastle. They try to rectify it. Cher plays it forward. Looked like it should have been a free kick on the edge of the penalty area. Referee says play on. Steve Bruce is up in arms about this. He's furious. He thought that there was a foul on a Newcastle player on the edge of the Arsenal penalty area. Guendouzi bravely stoops in with his head on the halfway line. Aubameyang plays it forward for Arsenal, and across sweeps Jamal Lascelles, and he plays it out for a throw into Arsenal. Bang on the halfway line. Steve Bruce continues those remonstrations with Martin Atkinson. What did you make of that, Chris Waddle?
Well, for me it was a foul. Definitely came through the back of him, and the referee, Martin Atkinson, was 10 yards away. Should easily blew on that, and see Steve Bruce's frustration. But it looked two very nervous sides. Kicked off. Only been playing a couple of minutes, we know that, but nobody's settled yet. It's
wet in Newcastle, the rain teeming down. Guendouzi lunges in ahead of Joe Linton and prods the ball back to Callum Chambers, who was on loan at Fulham last season, suffered the relegation with them. He was named Fulham's player of the season.
When you watch Arsenal play, Aubameyang's very high up the field. Mkhitaryan's just getting in them little pockets off him, and that's where Shelvey and Longstaff's very important. But at the minute, they're not picking him up, and Arsenal are wasting the ball.
Joe Willock has started in the number 10 position. Reiss Nelson on the left wing. Out comes Bernd Leno out of his penalty area. Nothing fancy from the German, just calmly rolls it out of play. Newcastle get an attacking throw in down the right hand side. Manquillo is up to take it. Throws it back to Fabian Cher, Swiss international, who was involved in the Nations League finals in the summer, earned his 50th cap for Switzerland. Crossfield ball was intended for Matt Ritchie here, but skids on the wet, slippery surface and goes out for an Arsenal throw.
It's a great surface for attacking players, isn't it? Because once you get at somebody, it's very hard to turn, and you normally get a lot of free kicks. But we're looking for somebody who can pick the ball up and take somebody on. At the minute, it's quite a high tempo, but both teams giving the ball away easy.
Newcastle in possession on the right-hand side. Arsenal get it back again. And Socrates, who played more games last season than any other Arsenal defender, shuffles it to Monreal. Monreal has now got increased competition on that left-hand side of the Arsenal defence with the arrival of Kieran Tierney. And interesting that David Luiz didn't go straight into the Arsenal team. He's on the bench, the new arrival from Chelsea. Arsenal still in possession, midway inside their own half. Callum Chambers to the near touchline, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Referee blows the whistle. Now, what's this all about? Something has fallen onto the pitch. Now, was that an object thrown from the sidelines, or is it something that was left over from the warm-ups? It's like a piece of metal. Not quite sure what that is. I assume that is some part of the ground staffs. It'll be, a little bit has fallen off a rake or part of a hose that was out as a sprinkler or something like that. What do you think,
Chris?
Chris?
He's running. I think it's a key to his tractor.
Yeah, the referee just spotting this piece of metal on the pitch. He held up play briefly, and it has been removed, and play is back underway. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0. 5 Live Premier League Sunday from the BBC. Callum Chambers, 15 yards inside the Arsenal penalty area, goes long for the first time for Arsenal today, but Jamal Lascelles gets there comfortably ahead of Joe Willock. Mkhitaryan tries to get it down on the deck. Mkhitaryan, who missed the Europa League final at the end of last season. There was those political issues between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and he didn't travel to Baku. Monreal gets it back here inside the centre circle. He's got Socrates in support. This is Callum Chambers, 10 yards inside his own half. He's making a motion there that he wants the midfield to get closer to him.
They've got to use extra man in midfield. They're playing two sitting. I don't think they need to play two sitting, to be fair. Arsenal, I think they can push one further on. Waste of a body, but they're the better team at the minute, Arsenal. They've got more possession.
Good ball from Guendouzi to pick out Reece Nelson. He attacks the penalty area. Sliding challenge comes in on him from Longstaff, and possession is won back by Newcastle. Here they go. Almiron showing a bit of pace up over the halfway line. Manages to ride one tackle. He shrugged off Socrates there, and he still has it, Almiron. Midway inside the Arsenal half. That's what the Newcastle fans love to see. Someone just taking the game by the scruff of the neck and surging his way into Arsenal territory.
Yeah, and hopefully Alain Saint-Maximin will come on today. He's an exciting talent, played for Nice, brilliant on the ball. It would be a big favourite once he hits the ground running.
And Arsenal will be aware of the new signings Newcastle have made, as well as the new signings they've made themselves. Of course, there's international rugby on the way at the moment. World Cup warm-up game, England against Wales at Twickenham. Sonia McLaughlin's got news of an early score there. Sonia.
Yeah, it's England 7, Wales 0. This experimental England side have taken the lead. Billy Vunipola with his break from number 8, burrowing through a massive bodies to score onto the post. George Ford converting. England 7, Wales 0.
And commentary of that game is available right now on 5 Live Sports Extra. First warm-up game for both England and Wales ahead of next month's Rugby World Cup in Japan. Here in the steady rain in Newcastle, this is St James's Park. Good crowd despite the threats of a boycott. It's virtually a full house. Chambers comes up to the halfway line. Joe Linton, who's yet to have a proper touch of the ball with his feet, but trying to close down Chambers there, and Arsenal move it over into space via Guendouzi out to the Spaniard Monreal on the left.
Well, Arsenal will be happy that they've got possession a lot more than Newcastle. 4-4-2 is a really hard shape to work in modern day football. It's all about leg work and closing areas and leaving the furthest man away. Arsenal very comfortable in possession, but not affecting the goal. They're just playing around Newcastle but not going anywhere.
Guendouzi's started well. He plays it on to Joe Willock, out to Monreal, who's attacking on the left hand side. Reece Nelson gets a touch back in the Arsenal setup. Remember, he made his debut for the club a couple of seasons ago in a Community Shield, and we've not seen that much of Reece Nelson. Did well on loan in the Bundesliga last season. Willock back to Guendouzi, no longer a teenager, of course. Did well in his opening campaign of the club last season for Unai Emery. Arsenal here give it away, though, and Matt Ritchie tries to turn Newcastle defence into attack, but he's unable to pick out Joe Linton. Joe Linton points to his feet there, and he says, I don't want to run into the channel, give it to my legs.
Well, sometimes as a centre forward and you've got pace, and Joe Linton has got pace, good pace. Sometimes just test them behind. First 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just ask questions behind. Next time the ball comes, threaten behind, come short and get it to feet. You've got to mix it up a little bit. But at the minute, the 4-4-2 of Newcastle United are working very, very hard, with little joy in possession.
Nice ball from Ainsley Maitland-Niles to pick out Joe Willock. He's wandered over to the right wing for Arsenal. Support here for Guendouzi. This is 15 yards from the byline. Maitland-Niles remains in the attack, challenged by Sean Longstaff, and that goes out for a throw into Arsenal on the right. There was a lot of talk over the summer. Longstaff was going to go for big money, maybe to Manchester United. Talk that Josh Shelvey was on his way, but they've managed to keep those players and then also add the new signings. Here is Longstaff midway inside his own half. Lays it to his right hand side to Isaac Hayden, who's played under Steve Bruce before. He was on loan at Hull when Bruce brought Hull up to the Premier League many years ago. Monreal pushes one a little bit too far down the left wing. Nelson scampers after it, but across comes Cher, and no messing puts it out for a throw in. Well, I think the Newcastle fans thought the last touch came in off an Arsenal player there, but it is going to be an Arsenal throw.
Well, I think for Hayden on the right hand side, he's not a right sided player. He's a centre mid, and we know that's where he's played over his career, and he's very similar to Longstaff and Shelvey. So He's accommodating him slightly right, but he feels probably a little bit out of position.
Steve Bruce is down there, looks like a golfer heading off in a wet sun. He's got the waterproofs on and the black shoes with the white soles. Here comes Guendouzi through the midfield. Unai Emery's wearing the shiny black leather shoes, also with a waterproof jacket on, just to Steve Bruce's left as we look down. Longstaff is to well here, edge of the Newcastle penalty area, tight position, but he wriggles into a bit of space, rolls it back to Dummett, and Newcastle are able to clear it away. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0. 10 minutes in if you're just joining us on 5 Live Sport, and we've got Manchester United against Chelsea coming up later on at 4:30. They're underway at the King Power Stadium. How's it started between Leicester and Wolves? Here's Alistair Bruce Ball.
Well, very easy on the eye so far, as you'd expect with these two teams. Leicester 0, Wolves 0. Leicester just enjoying a nice little period of pressure at the moment. Here's Iosi Perez on the ball, crossing to Maddison, who takes a touch inside the penalty area, surrounded by Wolves defenders, and Leicester just trying to fashion the chance here for Tielemans. He shoots and it's blocked. Leicester 0, Wolves 0. Leicester have gone 4-3-3 with Iosi Perez on the right of the front three.
Or is it Perez, Newcastle player last season, £30 million move to Leicester. Newcastle, Chris, have lost their 2 top scorers from last season, Rondon following Rafa to China, and Perez as well, so that's extra expectancy on Joe Linton.
Yeah, as I said before the game, Joe Linton unfortunately is going to be under pressure from the off, and Rondon did ever so well. You know, the way Newcastle and Rafa set up, he was ideal because he was a great out ball for them, powerful, could link the play, hold the ball up, and he scored his shares of goals. Perez got better and better as the season went on. It was I've got to say, it was a good bit of business for Newcastle. Oh, what, £1 million they paid from Tenerife, and not bad to bring somebody from Tenerife, 3rd division I think they were at the time, and sell them for 30.
Absolutely. Here is Matt Ritchie, the former Bournemouth man. That's a good header down. Longstaff has made a surge forward from midfield. 3 Arsenal defenders come to try and close him down near the penalty area, ushered out towards the corner flag. Newcastle want a corner, but the referee Martin Atkinson turns and points to the edge of the 6-yard box. That will be a goal kick to Arsenal, still scoreless.
Well, I wouldn't say the conditions were that bad, Con. I've got to say, I was expecting a little bit more quality on the ball, and in the final third we've saw nothing yet, have we? So both boxes. So it's at the minute it's a midfield battle. Teams giving away the ball too easily.
And Newcastle away from home for the next 2 games. They travel to Norwich next Saturday. Jonjo Shelvey helps it on to Hayden here. Good passing movement from Newcastle. Low ball towards the edge of the penalty area to Joe Linton. 2 touches to control it. Gives it back out to the right hand side. Manquillo loses it between his feet a little bit. Good work by Monreal to win it back for Arsenal. And they could have a counter-attacking position here. Good surge. Joe Willock, long strides over the halfway line. And he's taken down. That is a foul. Newcastle fans complaining. But they were worried that Arsenal were going to break on the counter-attack there. And that will be a free kick to the visitors.
Well, definite foul. And yeah, to do it at what pace Willock showed there, by the way. He ran away from 3 players, had to get brought down, counter-attack.
Joe Willock, who was born with one leg considerably shorter than the other, and treatment that he received as a youngster has balanced it out. He's still a little bit lopsided, but you'd hardly tell. A fantastic athlete, good strength, and getting a starting position at the beginning of the new season for Unai Emery. And for Arsenal, Ainsley Maitland-Niles in possession, blue boots, clashing with these yellow Arsenal strippers. Jonjo Shelvey goes in hard on Joe Willock. Ball goes out of play for a throw into Newcastle, just in front of Steve Bruce, who you can see is trying to get a tactical little tweak here. He's making pointing gestures, bellowing instructions, and trying to get that message across to his players on the pitch. Guendouzi fouls Almiron just inside the Arsenal half. Guendouzi turns and smiles, and that will be a free kick to Arsenal. Guendouzi thought that wasn't a foul, but Almiron is still down, nursing the injury.
It's got to say, Conor, I was expecting a lot more. I know I was looking at, to be honest, I thought there'd be a lot more of the same in starting today, especially in Arsenal's case. But at the minute, Arsenal are slightly edging the game, but it's very scrappy.
Reminder, Ian Wright and Chris Sutton back together tomorrow for the Monday Night Club on 5 Live. Interception made on the edge of the penalty area by Reece Nelson for Arsenal. A chance to set off now on a bit of a counter-attack. Aubameyang is the leading line. Manquillo, closest defender to him, does well. Excellent from Manquillo. Just snuffed out the danger as soon as Aubameyang was bearing down in the penalty area. And a warm applause from the Newcastle fans as Manquillo gets it away.
Well, Aubameyang, that's where he's at his best. Put the ball in front of him, let him run onto it. Normally 1-2 touch, and then he's finishes. That's what he's good at. His hold-up play, and at times the ball's very loose when he cuts it in control. It's not his strength. His strengths are getting them clear, 1-2 touch, normally in the back of the net.
That's the voice of Chris Waddle watching this game with us here at St James's Park in the rain as Maitland-Niles comes forward. Good surge, gets away from John Joe Shelby, then he holds it up expertly on the byline, sends in a low cross. Arriving was Reece Nelson. He couldn't get a firm touch on it. Newcastle relieved to get it away. That's really the first time in the game that Arsenal have got to the byline and probably needed to produce a better cross.
Well, it was great play by Maitland-Niles, wasn't it? Well, what a dummy. Matt Ritchie, I think, is in the Gallagher end now. He's just skated off the pitch nearly, but Arsenal for me are just the better. Got a nice shape to them. They are giving the ball away a lot. Newcastle, hard work in 4-4-2, not showing a great deal when they have possession.
This is 5 Live from the BBC. Rafa Benitez and his official Twitter page before kickoff sent a best of luck message to Newcastle, which I thought was a nice touch before the game. He's a player who's still, fondly affection from Newcastle fans for him, and that will only strengthen that, I'm sure. Here is Almiron doing well in the midfield, gets away from Joe Willock, bearing down in the Arsenal penalty area now, gives it to the right hand side. Here's the cross. Joe Linton was close, and out comes Leno and makes the save. That's the best attack of the new season for Newcastle.
Well, that was a good play. Joe Linton pulls it up in midfield.
Arsenal give it away. Mkhitaryan's mistake. Hayden onto Almiron, 15 yards outside the penalty area. Good ball to Ritchie, gets his head down, sends it across. Joe Linton's header across the face of goal and wide. Newcastle are beginning to warm up. 16 minutes played, 0-0. 2 chances in 30 seconds though for the new £40 million Brazilian Joe Linton.
Yep, done sloppy play by Arsenal coming out from the back, giving the ball away. Newcastle don't waste any time, get away, get the ball in the box, slight deflection. Joe Linton nearly, great header, just couldn't direct it in the bottom corner, but that's a lot better by Newcastle. And look at the response to get on the fans, 2 attacks in 30 seconds.
And now we've got the noise around St James's Park, and Shelby goes through Mkhitaryan for a shortcut and wins the ball back. It's the hope that kills you for Newcastle fans. They're suddenly believing, hang on a minute, this Steve Bruce era could work out pretty well. The team are rolling up their sleeves and they're getting stuck in. Share, good ball out to Manquillo on the right hand side. Now Hayden rolls it infield. Almiron, who started well into the penalty area, goes down. There's appeals for a penalty and the referee goes the other direction. It's going to be a booking for Almiron. They didn't wait for any intervention for VAR there. Down went the Paraguayan. It's a dive. It's a booking for him. It's a free kick to Arsenal from inside the penalty area.
Well, it's kind of unfortunate. It's something we don't want to see. Almiron, if you are saying what Almiron plays at, he's a little bit like Di Maria. Runs the same, likes to chop back on the ball a lot. Good left foot. But that is a clear dive, and the referee has got that spot. He's got no argument with that. That's
assertive refereeing from Martin Atkinson, and I think it's good to see. It's refreshing in the era of VAR that they're not going to go to it for everything. That's what he could have said. Well, let's have a look at it. Let's let play continue for a moment. He didn't. He was decisive. He immediately said it was a dive. We're getting to see the action replays now. Chris Waddle, was it the right decision?
Yes, I think it was. If you watch the Arsenal defender, he doesn't go near the ball. He stands his ground.
Here come Arsenal. Mkhitaryan offside against Aubameyang, and it's hit the post with a shot from Joe Willock, but it wouldn't have counted anyway. The whistle had gone, the flag had been raised. Aubameyang in the build-up has offside. So it's taken a little while to get going here, but this match properly up and running now. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0, 5 Live Premier League Sunday at St James's Park, and the rain is getting heavier and heavier, and it is teeming down on myself and Chris Waddle right now.
When the game gets quicker, the rain gets heavier, so we want the game to slow down again.
Well, Chris, being a man of these parts, wisely came with a proper weatherproof, no messing coat. I have gone for a much more summer attire in case there's a little splash, and I'm suffering for it now. Long clearance by Dubravka, the Newcastle goalkeeper, straight down the pitch. Almiron, that's better, gets inside of Maitland-Niles, pulls it back, stretching his Xhaka to put it out for a throw-in. Newcastle United, no doubt about it, they're the team on top here.
Well, it's took a while to get going, this game, hasn't it? It's been scrappy, looking at each other, sounding each other out, but now Newcastle stepped it up.
John Joe Shelby shoots! Oh, it's hit the post as well! Well, the referee points for a corner. I'm not sure Leno got all that much on that. I think it hit the post, but it's indicated a corner. John Joe Shelby, we know the technique he has, but he catches it, Chris. It can be so clean. That was millimetres away from 1-0.
Well, you want to see him higher up the field because the ability he's got. I don't see how to call. I think it came off the defender. As he hit it, I think it's a slight block on it, which takes it away to the goal.
Here's the corner from Shelvey, deep to the back post, headed in by Scher, headed away by the Arsenal defence. But Arsenal are digging in here. An Arsenal team who in recent seasons more often than not have had their first game of the new Premier League campaign at home. Here they are away from home at Newcastle and finding themselves under the cosh at the moment. Shelvey coming so close, Joe Linton close with a header earlier. Here comes Manquillo, gets into a crossing position, heads it across the face of goal, but he was offside. Flag was raised, referee says play on because Leno had it anyway, and Arsenal tried to turn defence into attack, but it's too quick up towards Aubameyang, and Mkhitaryan won't get there either. Dummett clears it away off Mkhitaryan. That'll be a goal kick. Another try at Twickenham. England against Wales. Here is Sonia McLaughlin.
And it's England 14, Wales 0. Wales, who could end the day as world number 1, have yet to fire a shot. It's all England. They've scored a second try through Joe Cokanasiga after good work by the forwards and 32-year-old debutant Willie Heinz at scrum half. Converted by Ford. England 14, Wales 0.
And a Welshman, Dummett, clears away for Newcastle. This is Ritchie on the halfway line. Newcastle playing from right to left as we look down in the rain. Their traditional magpie stripes. Arsenal in their new away kit, the yellow and navy, very much a retro throwback to years gone by. Here comes Hayden trying to attack towards the edge of the penalty area down the other end, and Newcastle under pressure. Socrates puts it out for a corner.
Yeah, Newcastle's having a great spell at the minute. They've upped the tempo, they're picking all the second balls up, passing the ball a lot earlier. Almiron's causing problems to Arsenal, but the problem you get is he's coming into midfield. There's no midfield man or no wide man joining Joe Linton front in the box, so they only have one in the box when the ball eventually arrives. They need to get 2 or 3 in there.
You know, I've seen a lot of Almiron since he's come to the Premier League from MLS, and he looks so exciting, but we've yet to see the final product from him. I mean, he gets the crowd on the edge of their seats. He's got very good runs. He's busy, but still waiting for that first goal. Here comes the Newcastle corner, played in. Lascelles collided with the defender, comes back to Shelvey, connects with a volley, not as cleanly as last time. Longstop heads it straight up into the air, and then a header away by Joe Willock, and that brings play back towards the halfway line. Good work by Dummett to help it on. Ritchie pops one over the top, but he's asking too much of Joe Linton there, and out comes Leno, steps out of his penalty area in the right full-back position, and no real pressure, and the Newcastle fans shouting at Joe Linton, saying, come on, get in there, put pressure on him. And he just jogs up towards him, and Leno plays it across the face of his own goal to Socrates.
I think the Newcastle fans will be quite happy the way Steve Bruce has set his team up with their work rate. They look very edgy, a bit nervous looking at Arsenal went on the kick-off, but now the game's settled down, and Newcastle the last 10 minutes have been the better side.
0-0 it remains. Guendouzi for Arsenal, who need to step up a gear here. Arsenal, who've had an exciting transfer window for their fans, but all those new signings are on the bench, or most of them. 1 or 2 unavailable, such as Tierney. Maitland-Niles is helped back to his feet there by Matt Ritchie in front of us. Play continues. Maitland-Niles has got a little bit of a stinger there, but he's okay to continue. Here is Granit Xhaka, the Arsenal captain. That's a good ball over the top. Monreal comes. Oh, the goalkeeper's way out. Can Monreal put it over him? No, he can't. Mkhitaryan blazes over the top. Arsenal's best chance of the game. Monreal didn't have the wherewithal to lob the keeper, and when the ricochet fell to Mkhitaryan, he lacked composure. He blazed it over.
Great run by Monreal from deep. It's the first time I saw Xhaka on the ball, actually. I've not seen him touch the ball till then. Goalkeeper Dubravka in a strange position. He should have let that defender sort it out. I think that was a midfield prior strike. I would have lobbed the keeper. Saw it and lobbed him, but it was a fullback.
You're just thinking of the past, you know, the likes of Dennis Bergkamp. He wouldn't have even took a touch there. That would have been lobbed delicately over the goalkeeper. Here come Arsenal again. Joe Willock crosses from the left hand side straight along the edge of the 6-yard box, and Dummett is there and able to clear it away, but Newcastle don't fully clear their lines. Arsenal get it back again. Xhaka from midway inside the Newcastle half turns, gives it back to Socrates. He in turn gives it back behind him to Chambers, and from an attacking position Arsenal end up deep again, but they hold on to the ball. Maitland-Niles comes over the halfway line on the right wing. Great challenge by Ritchie. In on Mkhitaryan, who's had a sluggish start here. Ritchie plays it forward looking for Almiron. That wasn't the easy pass. He took on the ambitious one and it didn't work, and Arsenal get it back with Xhaka, and the game beginning to stretch a bit now as Xhaka rolls it into space for Monreal on the left hand side, and Arsenal break back into the Newcastle half once again. Joe Willock lays it off to Mkhitaryan. Now Guendouzi in the middle of the park onto the right wing, where Maitland-Niles is up from right back. He gets to within 5 yards or so of the Newcastle penalty area. Reiss Nelson calls for it and receives, and now back over to the left-hand side into Nacho Monreal once again. Arsenal are hoping that they've weathered an early storm here of Newcastle pressure. Maybe they can apply some of their own. Here comes Reiss Nelson. Poor decision though on the edge of the Newcastle penalty area, and then he's frustrated and he lashes out at Fabian Schär, and that's going to be a yellow card for him and a free kick to Newcastle.
Well, it was a nice little spell there by Arsenal, but Arsenal seem to want to play possession game and then step up the gears when they want to. This is a very fast game at the minute. The rain's pouring. Newcastle are really up for first game this season. They've upped the tempo the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So I'm expecting a little bit more from Arsenal, but they're giving the ball away very easily.
5 Live from the BBC at a rain-sodden St James's Park. Pools and puddles are developing on the roof of the dugouts in front of us. Steve Bruce must be pleased though with this opening 25 minutes. Newcastle have stood up to Arsenal, and they've given as good as they've got so far. They're probably unlucky not to have taken the lead. That excellent shot from Jonjo Shelvey coming off the post, maybe a little deflection on the way through, which guided it off target. Dubravka plays it long into the Arsenal half. Joe Linton controls on his upper thigh, tried to lay it up, comes back to Joe Linton, shoots straight at the goalkeeper. Leno saves, but Joe Linton needed to put it either side of him there.
Brilliant feet by Joe Linton, left foot, right foot, turns strong, gets it out of his feet. You've got to say, Connor, a yard, 2 yards either side of that's in. Leno would never have saved that. It's great bit of striker play.
Yeah, as the cliche textbook says, you've got to say good touch for a big man there. He did well to get into position. It seemed to slip away from a couple of times, but he kept his balance, he kept control of the ball, and he got power on the shot as well, but straight at the goalkeeper. Leno must have been relieved to see it pop straight at him there.
And I think Arsenal's season again will depend on how they've signed David Luiz, and unfortunately I think that's going to be the problems again. I think they will concede a lot of goals. I think you see them score goals with the forward line the players have got.
Now Arsenal trying to come on the counter-attack. Really good pace from Aubameyang. He started up 7 or 8 yards behind Dummett. He overtook him, and then Dummett recovers well. Sliding tackle to dispossess Aubameyang and put it out for a throw, and a big hearty roar from the Newcastle fans who very much enjoyed that.
He's not slow, Dummett neither, but you saw Aubameyang's pace the first 20 yards, and once he tried to get it out of his feet, Dummett catches him up, and great tackle.
Raindrops the size of marbles pelting down on top of us here at St James's Park as Maitland-Niles takes the throw in. He wanted to get it back from Joe Willock, and it goes out off Longstaff, I think, for another throw into Arsenal. They remain on the attack 10 yards from the byline on the right hand side. No goals here, no goals at the King Power Stadium either, where Leicester are underway against Wolves. Across comes Dummett to challenge Maitland-Niles and put it out for a third. Arsenal throw it in quick succession. This time Maitland-Niles gives it back to Mkhitaryan, into the midfield to Granit Xhaka. Good ball onto Reiss Nelson, 10 yards outside the Newcastle penalty area. Sliding challenge by Longstaff, who's hurt himself in the process, but Newcastle hold on to the ball. Shelvey pings it out to the right hand side. It's out towards Isaac Hayden, who doesn't control it, and then in nips Socrates, and he's able to clear it away.
Great ball, Shelby. He's got great vision, great long pass on the ball, but Hayden, unfortunately, he's not a right-sided player, and he looks very uncomfortable out there. You know, he's making runs down the wing. He's not a winger or a wide type player. He's a centre midfield player. And maybe look at that as the game goes on.
Yeah, Newcastle, who've got Alain Saint-Maximin on the bench, their new signing from Nice. Patrick Vieira was his coach last season. Says the attitude is the problem. Says he thinks he's the best player in the world, but he's got to put in the work to justify anything like that. Here come Newcastle down the left. Matt Ritchie chests it down for himself. Little cut back so he can have a glance up. Notices that Dummett is available behind him. Disappointing ball in from Dummett. Couldn't get any elevation on it, and Callum Chambers is able to clear away for Arsenal. No one up top though, and it's a controlled Jamal Lascelles who can get it down and play it into the midfield, but Arsenal comes straight back at him, and Lascelles commits a foul, takes out Joe Willock. Free kick to Arsenal midway inside the Newcastle half.
Dozy having a go at the ref, saying, is that not a yellow? Monreal the same, because he did get save him, and he pulls him down, Lascelles, and he's been very lucky there not to get a yellow card.
The rain gets heavier and heavier. Newcastle pull all 11 men back behind the ball here. It's going to be Reece Nelson who steps out to take the free kick. Let's see if Arsenal have got something up their sleeve here. Unai Emery, who's got the hood now pulled up over his head, is pointing and bellowing instructions, and he wants Maitland-Niles to cover the right hand side. Even though it's attacking free kick, he wants him to be over giving that option. Played in by Nelson, flicked on the front post by Granit Xhaka, but it goes well wide, 6 yards wide at least. It remains Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0. Let's go back to the King Power Stadium. Leicester and Wolves. Alistair Bruce-Ball.
Half an hour in, Leicester 0, Wolves 0. Leicester have definitely had the better of the last 20 minutes, putting a bit of pressure on Wolves. The shooting's not been quite up to scratch. Efforts outside the area from Chilwell, Ricardo and Ndidi, all off target. But it's, we were talking Leicester's identity before the game. It's a very Brendan Rodgers style, this patient passing, build up from the back, still occasionally trying to get Jamie Vardy away quickly, but that's how they're going. Leicester 0, Wolves 0.
Here comes Isaac Hayden, right wing for Newcastle, who's been struggling in this position so far, but let's see what he could do. Holds it up for as long as he could, but unable to deliver a pass, and Arsenal can clear away. Some Newcastle fans felt that Hayden would have been foul there, I'm not sure. Shelvey has it. Well, the game is really livened up now. That's a good challenge by Joe Willock to get it back. Unai Emery's very animated on the touchline. Mkhitaryan floats it over the top. Aubameyang, no flag, shoots on target, saved out and away by Dubravka. That's much, much better from Arsenal.
Well, you saw Willock there chase back on Shelvey, and Emery was jumping around on that tackle when he won possession. He thought they'd scored. Anyway, the quick release, and that's where Aubameyang's good. Pulls up the centre half, one touch, second touch shot, good save.
Well, that sort of tackle, I think for many years people will say that's what Arsenal need a bit more of.
Yeah, exactly.
Just getting stuck in. They've so many creative, talented players, but they need that bit more muscle, bit more aggression in the midfield. On this occasion, it's won them a corner. Reece Nelson, whose last free kick was a bit low. This one's got much more elevation on it, too much. And I think that was a counterbalance. His first set piece he hit low, so this time he overcompensated, and it balloons over everyone. And that's disappointing for Arsenal, just as they were building a bit of momentum.
In warm-ups, you never see anybody practice a corner, and it's a different ground. It's not it's not their ground. Go and take just 2 or 3 corners, feel the weight of it, see how it feels.
That's a really good point. Feeling the weight of it, seeing how it feels ahead of the World Cup for England and Wales at Twickenham. Latest from Sonny McLaughlin.
Yeah, it's England 14, Wales 7. Wales have awoken. A brilliant solo score from scrum half Gareth Davis, ducking down the blind side, dodging defenders to score for Wales. Converted by Gareth Anscombe. England 14, Wales 7.
Thank you, Sonny. And 0-0 here. Lively first half, though, at St James's Park. We've got the best part of a quarter of an hour to go until the break. Arsenal in possession with Reece Nelson. The captain Granit Xhaka helps it onto Monreal. Crossing position now, left-hand side as Arsenal come forward. Playing left to right as we look down here. Arsenal in yellow. And again, the Arsenal, when they don't see a very easy pass, they turn and they give it back to the defenders. That's happening time and time again.
They lack width, though, Connor, don't they? If you look at the team now, look, they've got 5 players in the space of 4 players in the space of 20 yards. There's no width. Come and stand out on the wing.
Newcastle win it back cheaply in the midfield. Hayden onto Manquillo. And Joe Linton unable to keep it in. That will be an Arsenal throw on the far side. Steve Bruce now is the one who's animated. So much hope and expectation on the opening weekend of the season. For any of the clubs, you win your first game, there's such a positive vibe around the place, but you start with a defeat and immediately some of the old groans return. For the moment, 0-0 between Newcastle and Arsenal here at St James's Park. See what Reece Nelson could do here. 15 yards into the Newcastle. That's really good. He's managed to ride the challenge of Cher. Gets to a crossing position on the left-hand side. Pulls it back for Guendouzi. He's got a little bit of room. Does he fancy the shot first time? No. Helps it on to Maitland-Niles. Now on to Mkhitaryan. Crossing position on the right-hand side. Not a bad ball in at all, but Cher is well positioned, and he recovers to head it out for an Arsenal throw-in on the far side.
That was better. A little bit of movement, a little bit of tempo as well. Arsenal look better when they play quicker.
Throw in for Arsenal. Monreal in no rush to take it. A reminder of the new signings available on the bench. Dani Ceballos, who's come on loan from Real Madrid. I mean, he's played 6 times for Spain over the past season. Nicolas Pepe, the big money signing. David Luiz, who only came a few days ago from Chelsea. Gabriel Martinelli, youngster, more of an unknown quantity. As Almiron here tries to play out of defence. That was a high-risk ball cross-field to Richie. Richie's done ever so well. Well, I thought to beat Maitland-Niles, but the referee says that he has fouled Maitland-Niles in doing so, and that will be a free kick to Arsenal inside the Newcastle half.
Well, he's playing a strange role there, Matt Ritchie, isn't he? He's playing sort of a left back come wing back, even though Newcastle's playing 4-4-2. He's really got on top of Dummett. Really, at times, been on lane with him at the back four. But it was a foul.
So some treatment for Maitland-Niles. A reminder of what's coming up on 5 Live. Ian Wright and Chris Sutton back together tomorrow for the Monday Night Club. Robbie Savage will be with Emma Jones for 6:06 at 6:30 this evening. And a reminder, 5 Live and BBC Sound's the only place you can hear live Premier League commentary and ball-by-ball coverage of the Ashes series. The second test starts on Wednesday at Lord's. We'll be all over that on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And not missing any action on the pitch here. A reminder that if you download the Football Daily podcast on Tuesday morning, you will get the best of the Monday Night Club. Ian Wright and Chris Sutton back together tomorrow. Mkhitaryan has got the free kick for Arsenal, the halfway line again. He turns and he rolls it back 30 yards into his own half, and maybe Arsenal just trying to take a little bit of fizz out of the bottle that Newcastle are shaking on this opening weekend of the new Premier League season. Arsenal very deep. New rule, of course, this season where the ball doesn't have to leave the penalty area at goal kicks, and I've seen that Arsenal have pulled both centre defenders right into the 6-yard box in the goal kicks they've had so far, trying to be that deep. Here comes Mkhitaryan. Decent run initially. Oh, he's lucky there. He's found the pass through to Aubameyang. Ball back into the middle. Will it fall for Mkhitaryan? It's on his left boot. Can he get the shot in? Good challenge. Good sliding challenge by Isaac Hayden. But Newcastle haven't fully got it away. Hayden wins the ball again. That's brilliant from him. Well, we might be questioning some of his attributes going forward. He's done really well in defence for Newcastle there. And then he's fouled, and another yellow card about to be produced, this time for Mkhitaryan.
I think Hayden does a job. I don't think he enjoys playing out there. He's doing okay. Going forward, he's not offering anything defensively, obviously. And that's what Steve Bruce will look at. A strong 4-4-2. People who can get up and down the park. He's done a great job. 2 brilliant tackles there. Arsenal do look better on the break, but definitely when they up the tempo. But Newcastle, they had that little 10-minute spell, didn't they, where they got on top, but they've seemed to have come away from that.
Newcastle fans singing 1 Isaac Hayden. 0-0 it remains. 9 minutes to go until the break. The rain continuing to fall down, turning our notes here to absolute mush as Almiron gives it back to Jonjo Shelvey. And he scoops it out, and no, scoop was the word that initially came to my mind when he hit it with his right boot there. Too much elevation, flies over Manquillo, and completely not under pressure, he's returned possession to Arsenal. 0-0. Leno, the Arsenal goalkeeper, plays it very short to Socrates, and a high press here from Newcastle. They've got 3 players up in the Arsenal penalty area. Socrates, little back heel to himself. He's done well under pressure, and he's been able to clear it away. Manquillo's header into Lascelles, back out to Cher. Newcastle inside their own half. Cher from the halfway line turns and rolls it all the way back to Dubravka. Now there's been a few of these now, just wayward passes. The rain is heavy, but you mentioned before, Chris, I mean, it's not to the detriment of that sort of moment. And Dubravka, just as Shelvey did a minute ago, cheaply giving possession to Arsenal. Yeah,
you don't want to do that. And Arsenal's having a good little spell, and there's another foul, Longstaff. And Arsenal's having a good spell at the moment, and Newcastle, we've not saw Almiron on the ball. He's been the player who's been getting on it, looking to make things happen. He's not been on it for the last 10 minutes.
Heavy rain here at Newcastle. What's the weather conditions like at Leicester? Alistair Rooseball.
Well, we've had a little shower during the first half. I've got a lovely big roof over my head, though, so it hasn't really troubled us. It's Leicester 0, Wolves 0. Jamie Vardy's just had his first look at goal. He won't get many better ones this season. 3 yards out. Tielemans with a low-driven cross, really fast, came right across the 6-yard box, and just an air shot from Vardy, just mistimed it. No touch on the ball, and away it went to safety. Leicester 0, Wolves 0.
Thanks very much, Alistair, who was with me at Portrush for the Open last month. Will know exactly what it's like to commentate in the heavy rain. Here comes Almiron for Newcastle towards Jolinton on the edge of the box. Xhaka intercepts and plays a rather forceful back pass to Brent Leno, but he copes with it very well. The German goalkeeper clears long into the Newcastle half. Cher out into space for Manquillo. This looks like a good position to build up for Newcastle. Almiron 10 yards outside the penalty area, turns, shoots. He was miles out. That was speculative. It dipped, but was still a couple of yards over the crossbar.
He's starting to come back in the game already. We're not seeing him for 10 minutes, but I don't mind that, Conor. I think if people pick the ball up 20-25 yards out, there's nothing on really. Sometimes we overplay teams and sometimes have a shot.
It's been a decent first half, two teams getting stuck in. 0-0. Newcastle have hit the post. Aubameyang has looked bright when on the ball, but Arsenal probably need to get him involved a little bit more. And for Joe Linton, he's had 2 headers. One he's a little lunged at, the other one he definitely got a connection on, but it flashed across the face of goal and wide. Those have been his main contributions so far. The new signing, the big money man, £40 million from Hoffenheim. They've had a few Brazilians in the past in the Premier League era of Newcastle, and before that, of course. You'll remember Mirandinha. This is Guendouzi playing it into the midfield, and Joe Willock from the centre circle helps it on to Aubameyang. Been impressed with Willock so far. Here's Mkhitaryan into the penalty area. Can't beat the first defender though with his cross. Dummett has done well to clear it away. I think if more of the Arsenal team had that forward drive and ambition that Joe Willock has shown in this first half, they would be much better off.
Yeah, he's been a positive, hasn't he? He picks the ball up. He's terrific turn of pace. Mkhitaryan can do a lot more, you know, with the ability he gets in great areas and good positions, and he's wasted the ball on numerous occasions. But I think if you're Arsenal's manager, you'll say we've had 20 minutes good and the rest being very poor.
Drones again around St James's Park as Newcastle give it away on the halfway line. Aubameyang's miles offside, and he wouldn't have got there anyway. Through ball from Mkhitaryan, carries all the way to Dubravka. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0. We'll be back with Steve Crossman over half-time, building up to Manchester United against Chelsea. 4:30 commentary on this 5 Live Premier League Sunday. Chested down by Joe Linton, but he can't control it, and Socrates has dealt well with Joe Linton there and sends it up towards the halfway line for Arsenal once again. This is Granit Xhaka charging through the centre circle, laying it off to Mkhitaryan on the right hand side. 3 up in the penalty area waiting, but Mkhitaryan can't get past Dummett again. Dummett puts it out for an Arsenal corner, and with 4 minutes to go to the break, Arsenal have got themselves an attacking set piece.
I know Arsenal are playing this 4-2-3-1. Mkhitaryan playing this right hand side. I like to see him be the one off the striker. Probably bring Willock, Nelson onto their sides and put him behind as number 10. I think he's a very clever player.
So Mkhitaryan prepares to take the corner. Short run up. 7 yellow jerseys in the penalty area. Goalkeeper thought about coming to Dubravka. He wasn't going to get there. It spills out the back. Aubameyang has it left wing for Arsenal. Tries to float back in across. Couldn't get the elevation on it. Cher with a diving header sends it away for Newcastle. Guendouzi in the centre circle. Here is Granit Xhaka, 10 yards inside the Newcastle half. Goes for an ambitious crossfield ball. Manquillo has it covered, heads it down but doesn't head it out of play, and Aubameyang will keep Arsenal on the attack. Monreal back into Guendouzi. Out towards the left wing again. Hayden made a brief interception, but he couldn't hold on to it. Reece Nelson out to Aubameyang, who's growing in presence in the game. Joe Willock with quick feet on the edge of the penalty area, tried to return it to Aubameyang and very nearly succeeded, but in the end it's cleared away by Manquillo for Newcastle. Long ball back into the Arsenal half, and Socrates helps it back to Leno. Still Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0. Chris Waddle.
Yeah, I think you've got to say we're coming up to half time, aren't we, soon? I wouldn't say anybody's edged it. I think Arsenal's probably shaded the possession stats, maybe, but I cannot remember the goalkeeper having a save to make. They got pucks, obviously. Shelby's effort was a good effort, hit the post. Joe Linton just missed. Aubameyang's had a couple of half chances, but you've got to say defences are on top.
These sides due to meet each other again this season in February at the Emirates. We'll have a much better idea by then how their respective seasons are panning out. But so far, Steve Bruce era, Newcastle have looked steady. They've created a few chances, they've hit the post, and they've denied Arsenal too many attacking attempts in this first half. Back to Twickenham in just a moment as Reece Nelson tries to attack down the left-hand side, and he's challenged. Sonia, I guess the big worry in these World Cup warm-up games is you don't want any serious injuries. What's developing there in England against Wales?
Well, it's England 14, Wales 7, but Warren Gatland could have his heart in his mouth. His first choice fly half, Gareth Anscombe, sitting below me, has just had ice strapped to his leg. He needed help off the pitch. That would be a blow to Wales. He's become first choice for them, given how they want to play with his more attacking style, but they do have Dan Biggar coming off the bench, so that's not a bad replacement, but an injury concern for Wales in Gareth Anscombe. But it's 14-7. Thanks
very much, Sonia. We'll be back regularly for updates with Sonia from Twickenham. If you'd like to listen to commentary of that World Cup warm-up game, it's available right now on our sister station 5 Live Sports Extra. You can also listen via BBC Sounds Here is Joe Willock, 10 yards outside the Newcastle half. Arsenal running out of time in these opening 45 minutes if they are to break the deadlock. Reece Nelson just jigs one side to the other, trying to create a little bit of space, but he can't, and Arsenal retreat to
they
the
never put it in.
line.
They've got 4 yellow shirts in the box there. 4, great position, no pressure on the ball, to put it in the box, checks back out, goes to halfway lane.
And Newcastle clear it away. Jamal Lascelles, and that goes out for an Arsenal throw. And Martin Atkinson just wants to make sure the visitors take the throw in from the correct position. So Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who turns 22 this month, will be the man to take the throw in. Gives it in towards Granit Xhaka. Joe Linton charges back to win it. Newcastle fans enjoy that. And Newcastle regain possession. Joe Linton, who is probably realising he's going to have to be very, very patient to wait for the chances to come. He's got that famous Newcastle number 9 shirt. But to score the goals, Chris, you've got to be on the end of the assists.
He's had 2 half chances, hasn't he? You've got to say the one clear cut where you think, put that in the goal. He's and I said, you know, there's going to be a lot depending on him this season. Newcastle aren't going to create chance after chance, 2 minutes at a time. So they're not going to create that many chances. So when he gets one, he's got to take it.
2 minutes being added on for stoppages until half time. Here comes Willock to the edge of the penalty area, tries to scoop it in, but Dummett with the header gets it away for Newcastle. The quality of crossing from Arsenal needs to be better. They get to the edge of the area and they either give it away low on the ground, or else they just sort of send in these half-hearted crosses with no accuracy that Newcastle have been able to deal with very easily so far. 0-0 on 5 live. Mkhitaryan midway inside the Newcastle half. Nice little layoff by Reece Nelson. Mkhitaryan gets involved again, then he pushes it too far in front of Monreal. That's got to be so frustrating for Monreal, all the way up from left back to the edge of the penalty area, but a pass that was 15 yards in front of him.
It's been Arsenal, haven't they? You've got to say, one shot maybe, if that. It's not good enough. They've dawdled on the ball. They get it. They've got options ahead. They've got chances to put it in the box when they've got a lot of yellow shirts in there. They don't. They check out. They go back. And it's like a possession game for them. It's like a training exercise for them. You know, sometimes the percentages do work. Put it in the box, and sometimes it's there. Do it and see what happens, especially with these conditions.
This is Monreal on the far side, and again, Arsenal dragging some of the life out of the game at the moment with negativity. They keep retreating to the defenders. Callum Chambers onto Maitland-Niles. Forward comes Sean Longstaff to put pressure on him, and Maitland-Niles turns and gives it back to Callum Chambers once again. So stoppage time at the end of the first half at St James's Park. The rain has been incessant. Monreal in possession again, turns again, gives it back to Socrates, former Dortmund and Milan player, and then Chambers onto Maitland-Niles once again right in front of Steve Bruce, and Richie makes the interception, and it goes out for an Arsenal throw. It's a first half, Chris, that's just petering out now, really.
Yeah, I think they're all looking at the scoreboard, aren't they? They know it's time. They'll all be saying to the ref, how long, and that's it.
Here we go. Martin Atkinson blows the whistle for the end of the first half. So Aubameyang, 1 or 2 half chances. Joe Linton with a flash header that was just off target. But the closest we came to a goal in that first half, a John Joe Shelby volley that he took the leather off the ball, but it came off the woodwork, and it's Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot to talk about. You said John Joe Shelby and Aubameyang, a couple of positions where he could have done better. Arsenal, too much football. It sounds silly, doesn't it? But when you work the ball ever so well into areas, deliver, put it in the box, see what happens. Newcastle 4-4-2 worked very, very hard for Steve Bruce.
Yeah, Steve Crosswood, you started the show talking about Toto in Africa. We've seen the rains down in Tyneside here, but no goals yet. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0.
How long have you been thinking about that one?
I'm surprised I remembered, to be honest. That's been tucked away since 12:30.
John Joe Shelby, Chris, I mean, we were talking about all Newcastle's new signings. I mean, I suppose in some ways he's like a new signing because Newcastle fans maybe didn't see enough of him last season. Is it good for you to see him back? Chris?
No, yeah,
there we go, Chris. You're all right.
Connor doesn't want us to talk, you see. No, I think I've been a big fan of him. I like the way he can pass the ball distance. There's not many players can do that anymore. And obviously defensively in a 2, sometimes he can run over the back. I mean, he's not the best at tracking, but when he gets in possession, he's a very good footballer. Give him time and space and give him options. Joe Linton, if he makes runs, Almiron makes runs, he will hit them. And they've got to run a bit more. But yeah, it's nice to see him back in a black and white shirt.
Nothing doing at St James's Park. Ditto for you, Alistair Bruce-Ball.
Yeah, Leicester 0, Wolves 0 at half-time. It's a game that's flowed quite nicely. No VAR involvement at all in the first half, which has probably helped that. We've watched some good football from both teams. Mustn't forget as well that Wolves are off the back of a 6,000-mile plus round trip due to their Europa League exploits this week. Just not enough threat from either team. Possibly best chance for Leicester was presented to Jamie Vardy when Yuri Tielemans fired a pacey cross across the face of goal. Vardy just didn't get a touch on it. He was in the right place. Just needed to get something on it. It would have ended up in the back of the net. Air shot and away the chance went. And a couple of late looks at goal for Diogo Jota for Wolves. 40th minute, lovely little turn to get away from Soyuncu, dragged the shot wide on the edge of the box, and then had a little sort of comedy slip right at the end of the first half. Wolves whacked a clearance downfield in added time. Jota did really well actually to beat Ricardo to the ball. Ricardo was trying to let it go out of play. He got caught. Jota took it, ran about 30 yards, and then as he was deciding whether to shoot or try and play in his strike partner Jimenez, he fell over. Leicester 0, Wolves 0.
I hope he's not in that fantasy team of yours.
Jota is in my team. Jota is in my team, Steve, as is Chilwell and Tielemans. So not much going on here on that front. How have you started?
No, I've got Chilwell and Tielemans as well. I've got 80 points so far, so I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
That's good. Very good. Well done.
Need any tips? You know where I am. Fantasy 606, by the way, if you've not listened to that yet, with Ali Bruce-Ball and Chris Sutton, it's very, very good indeed as they pit their wits against each other at fantasy football. Let's go to the Rugby Union, the World Cup warm-up between England and Wales. Sonia.
Yeah, where it's half-time. England 21, Wales 7, an experimental England worth this lead. A physical pack laying the platform, and Billy Vunipola, Joe Cokanasiga and Luke Cowan-Dickey with the tries. Gareth Davis with a brilliant solo score for a Wales side that looks a bit rusty and has started slowly. Both sides, though, incurring injuries. Wales have lost first-choice fly-half Gareth Anscombe with what looks like a leg problem, and England have lost Tom Curry, their open side, with a shoulder problem. So England 21, Wales 7.
Thank you very much, Sonia. This is 5 Live Premier League Sunday with me, Steve Crossman. So Leicester City 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Newcastle United 0, Arsenal 0. We will be taking you to Old Trafford for the first time this afternoon shortly as we continue build up to Manchester United against Chelsea. Then we'll be back at St James's Park for second half commentary. That's coming up after the news on 5 Live with Giuliano Cassidy.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
A second teenager's died after being pulled from the sea near Clacton Pier in Essex on Thursday. 18-year-old Hader Shamas got into difficulties with his 14-year-old sister Malika. She was also rescued but died hours later. Campaigners are concerned an expansion of stop and search powers across England and Wales could be misused and unfairly target black people. The government insists they'll be used in the right legal and professional way. People are being urged to stay away from a seaside resort in Sussex where police say they're responding to a hazardous material incident. Worthing Pier's reportedly been evacuated following reports of sore eyes and vomiting. And a new hotline's been set up in Malaysia to help find the missing British schoolgirl Nora Corrin. It's been a week since the 15-year-old was reported missing while on holiday with her parents.
BBC 5 Live.
It is the most famous celebration of the arts and entertainment in the world, and all this week from 1, I'll be live at the Edinburgh Festivals.
Nihal Arthanaika.
I'll be joined by some of the biggest names in comedy and the arts and dozens of new acts hoping to make a name for themselves.
The biggest collection of artists showing their work anywhere it's ever happened in mankind. You have to just love it.
And I am going to be making my late night Fringe stand-up full comedy set debut. Me doing comedy live in Edinburgh. Apologies in advance.
5 Live at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Tomorrow from 1 on BBC Radio 5 Live.
More live Premier League football than anyone else.
5 Live's Premier League Sunday.
Welcome back to 5 Live Premier League Sunday with me, Steve Crossman. Let's go to Old Trafford now. Our commentary game at 4:30 is Manchester United against Chelsea. Our correspondent John Murray is there with Andy Townsend. Good afternoon, chaps.
Hello, Steve.
Good afternoon, Steve.
I understand you've only just made it, John.
I got stuck in traffic, believe it or not, but I haven't done anything to eat yet, so that's top of my agenda after I've spoken to you.
Good, okay. Andy, how hard is it? I mean, it's always difficult at the start of a season to look at a team and say, OK, I sort of roughly think I know where they are. Is it doubly hard with these two teams?
It is. I think it is, Steve. Yesterday I was sitting in a TV studio with Glenn Hoddle, and then after we sort of spoke about everything that went on yesterday, we were kind of casting an eye forward to today. With the other two matches, even though the Leicester Wolves game is a tough one, I think the other two, you have a bit of a gut feeling, you have a hunch. But for this one, the pair of us were both raising an eyebrow, not really sure who to commit and who to commit to and which way we really wanted to go. So it's a difficult one, this. It is, for obvious reasons. Look, we're not quite sure what United... I don't think Ollie can be 100% sure about what sort of United performance he's going to get. Frank Lampard, it's his new territory for him with his Chelsea players. He's lost his best player. He's not been able to acquire any fresh legs and new ones. So we've got one or two new faces on the Chelsea side. Looking forward to seeing. But in the main, it's going to be very, very interesting to see which way this one goes today. I think first goal, maybe experience tells you in these sort of situations, first goal is a very important one today.
Yeah, and of course there might not be all that much experience in the teams. Lots of young British players potentially on show. We're going to hear from one of Chelsea's more experienced players now, though, Cesar Azpilicueta, who played with Frank Lampard earlier in his Chelsea career. Now he's looking forward to being managed by a former teammate.
When he was a player, I could feel his hunger, his determination to improve in every training session, in every game. What I've seen from him as a manager and as a person was the same desire to keep competing, to keep winning. I think this is something natural on him, and I'm sure that the way he is as a manager is an extension of his personality that he was a player. So we have seen this during those few weeks in pre-season, and obviously we are all looking forward to starting the season.
There's a lot of young players at this club who are hoping to come through. Do you see it as one of your roles, responsibilities to help them?
Yeah, obviously through the seasons I've been getting more responsibilities. This season obviously even more, and I take it. Obviously we know that we have a young squad, we have a lot of young players coming in, and my responsibility on and off the pitch is to lead by example, to try to get them in the right direction, to help them when they need. Obviously when everything is right and you win is much easier, but when the tough moments come, is the moment to be together and to help them, because I believe we have the most successful academy in England. We have had amazing results through the past, and now I think all of them they have their dream opportunity to become first team players and to be important for the club, and they are the future, and as well from them they have to take that responsibility to grow and to feel that they have to be important in the next few years.
Cesar Azpilicueta there speaking to John Southall. John Murray and Andy Townsend are at Old Trafford. I guess, John, we might learn a bit more about Frank Lampard and his Chelsea tenure when we get the team news in about 35 minutes time.
Yes, I think as has been the case at so many of the grounds over the course of this weekend, and yeah, as Andy said, it's just going to be really interesting to see which of the youngsters get a chance in this. People are talking about Mason Mount, who's done great things in the time that he was at Derby, and obviously Fikayo Tomori as well, who was also at Derby with him, whether he'll be involved today. Also Tammy Abraham as well. It's quite a big question mark over him. I have to confess, even though I sat and watched it, I had forgotten the fact that he has actually played for England at senior international level. So he has played for England a couple of times. But while he has produced big style in the Championship in terms of goals, there were questions over him, but that was 2 seasons ago in the Premier League with Swansea, and he's still only 21 years old. So yeah, talk about question marks over Manchester United, but the same applies to Chelsea as well.
Andy, with your Chelsea hat on, would you rather see from the start today, for example, and I know it's interchangeable, Tomori at the back, Mount in midfield, Abraham up front, or say Zuma at the back, Barkley in midfield and Olivier Giroud up top?
Yeah, I think, look, there's going to be plenty of opportunity, more opportunity than ever before experienced by any of the Chelsea youngsters for them to gain game time this season. I don't think Frank has to shoehorn any of those in until he feels they're ready and they're right in order to go and fulfil the job that he wants them to do. So that's going to come this year, Steve. These boys now know that they're in the thick of it. They are right in. They're part of the senior first team squad, and I think previously some of these Chelsea youngsters, whilst they might have been training Monday to Friday with the senior boys, they probably deep down knew that they were never really going to be part of it when it mattered, and always had that prospect of others arriving in the summer or in a January. That doesn't happen now for a couple of years. So for a couple of windows, sorry. So for these Chelsea players, they're in there. Whether they start today remains to be seen, but it won't be long before we do see them. And of course, they've got to step up. As listening to Cesar Azpilicueta there, one thing is being given an opportunity, and that's going to happen. But then when you get that chance, you've got to take it. You can't have too many chances and opportunities and not make the most of them. So I wish them all the very best of luck if they play today, and let's see how they fare.
Obviously, one man that links both clubs is Jose Mourinho, manager of Chelsea, manager of Manchester United in the past. He's been on TV this afternoon talking about United. He said, as a start, they have to win the Europa League this season. When you go into a competition like that, you have to win. In the Premier League, the dressing room must feel like they can win the title. If they don't, they're in trouble. Top four would be a good achievement. He was then asked if he felt like he could win the title when he was at United last season. He said, no, we didn't. I said in the previous season when we finished second, it was the best achievement in my career. What is the limit of United's ambitions? Can they really go into this season thinking we can win the title?
I think at this stage, I think that a club the size of Manchester United has to feel like it can compete right at the very top. And whilst we know that they look a little bit short, obviously now up front with Lukaku going, I also am not quite comfortable with what they have in the middle of the park as well. And I'm looking at other squads that are far superior in many aspects. But look, it wasn't that long ago that Leicester came from nowhere to win the Premier League. You never really know. A big start, a good start, a convincing win here this afternoon, and that can be the launch pad, maybe, who knows, for the next couple of months for United to be quite strong. We'll see. I don't believe they'll win the league, but they have to think they can. They have to operate as a club like they can, and the players have to act like they can and think big. Otherwise, they'll get nowhere. So I think if they aim for the very, very top, and winning the league is that, if then afterwards they have to turn around and accept one of the cups and a top four position, well, that won't have been a disappointing season, in my opinion. I think realistically, a top four spot and maybe getting to a cup final or even winning one, I think that's well within their aims.
All of the top six clubs have got to have that mindset, haven't they? And when I'm talking about that, I mean the four behind Manchester City and Liverpool. You have to have that mindset because we're all expecting Manchester City and Liverpool to be the top two and have the gap, but you never know what might unfold over the course of the months ahead.
No, the mentality of a Leicester player, an Everton player, a Wolves player is and yet the way we kind of talk, we almost like we bracket Manchester United with those guys. With the greatest of respects, this is a United should be operating at a different level to those teams that I've just mentioned, and they should be believing that when City come here, when Liverpool come here, when the big teams come to Old Trafford, that they can turn them over. They're up against one of them this afternoon, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what happens, Steve.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Andy Townsend there and John Murray. This is 5 Live Premier League Sunday. It's Leicester 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. We will keep you up to date with that game. We'll get the team news first at Old Trafford as well. But our live second half commentary is from St James's Park. You can hear the final strains of the Blaydon races. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0. The second half with Chris Waddle and Conor McNamara.
Thank you very much. 0-0 after the opening 45 minutes of the new season at St James's Park. The start of the Steve Bruce era. Joe Linton, the new £40 million striker, dancing up on the spot as he prepares to get started. And Aubameyang's nearly missed the kickoff. Last man out, just seconds before the game gets back underway. Call of nature, we presume, from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, leading the line up front for Arsenal. And a first half of which Newcastle came closer to breaking the deadlock. Chris Waddle, can we see better from Arsenal this second half? What do they need to do?
Well, change of shape would have helped them, but I'm looking at the bench of Arsenal want to go on and win this game. They've got some big name players on the bench, and if Lacazette can come on,
Chance early in the second half for Newcastle. Leno was rooted to his spot. Ball came in from the left-hand side. Joe Linton trying to get close to it. Isaac Hayden had made a good burst towards the front post, and it goes out for a corner to Newcastle.
Good start, Newcastle. But the one thing you've got to say with Newcastle, what Arsenal don't do, is they do put the ball in the box when they get in good areas.
So Jonjo Shelvey gets a warm round of applause as he jogs over to take this corner. We'll give you the full reminder of the lineups again once the game settles down, but Newcastle with an early corner here at the start of the second half, attacking the Gallagher end. Here comes the delivery, disappointing from Jonjo Shelvey, too low and easily cleared away by Arsenal at the front post. It goes out for a Newcastle throw. Shelvey himself wants to take, throws it down for Almiron. Near the corner flag that Newcastle attack, left-hand side as they come forward. His attempted cross comes off Maitland-Niles, and then it's well kept in play by Aubameyang. It looked like it was going out for an Arsenal throw, but Aubameyang keeps it in play. Let's see what Granit Xhaka could do here. Dispossessed by Joe Linton. Newcastle fans enjoying that as well. So the Newcastle team with Dubravka in goal. Lascelles, Cher and Dummett, the three central defenders. Manquillo is the right wing back, Ritchie on the left hand side, Shelvey, Longstaff and Hayden in the middle, Almiron and Joe Linton getting forward. Here come Arsenal. Aubameyang 5 yards from the byline, went outside, then it's a stretching hook by Cher, could have got into his own net there. He was lucky actually. It fell for Jonjo Shelvey. He'll come away with possession, right full back position. Newcastle give it into Longstaff, and now on to Almiron, who's got those almost purple coloured boots, and he jumps over Guendouzi and he powers his way into the Arsenal half. He's really attacking in this sort of situation, Almiron, but then the same thing happens, the pass goes astray. He's got to find that final product somehow.
You can see why the fans like him, because he picks the ball up and he's very direct. He runs at you, he commits defenders to come and try and tackle him, but you've got to say his end product has let him down on a lot of occasions.
He's just got to get that bit of composure at the end of the mazy dribbles, and maybe Almiron can become the finished package. Player who did well in the MLS, scored a lot of goals, but 10 appearances for Newcastle last season, yet to get his first goal in English football. Cher has possession for Newcastle. Give you one down the Arsenal team right now. Leno the goalkeeper, Maitland-Niles at right back, Monreal at left back, Socrates and Chambers the two central defenders. Poor clearance away.
Not Cher's fault. He could have given it the right back twice, looked at him, didn't give him it, puts the goalkeeper under pressure.
Yeah, and Steve Bruce out making that exact point as Newcastle work themselves into a spot or bother there. Xhaka, Guendouzi the middle of the park for Arsenal, Mkhitaryan, Willock and Nelson as an attacking midfield three. And Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who won a share of the Premier League Golden Boot last season, he's the striker up front. Here is Joe Willock, tricky feet under pressure from Manquillo. Guendouzi on the halfway line gives it back to Willock once again. Now he's got Shelvey bearing down on top of him, so Arsenal retreat back to Callum Chambers once again. Poor ball for Maitland-Niles, and Ritchie will pick it up for Newcastle. Over the halfway line he comes, plenty of time to look up and pick out a pass. Chooses Almiron, low to the feet of Longstaff, right footed cross from the left hand side, was in swinging towards the edge of the penalty area, but Socrates well positioned and able to clear away. Now Mkhitaryan with the nutmeg on Jonjo Shelvey, and again good build up but terrible final product. His through ball for Reece Nelson is way too far in front of him.
You know, the amount of passes we've looked at, Connor, today where they've been overhit. I don't know what make they wear boots, but I'm sure they've got turbo after it, whatever.
No goals here at St James's Park, but at the King Power, Alistair Bruce Ball.
Wolves rewarded for an excellent start to the second half. They have had Leicester under pressure right from the kick-off. They won themselves a couple of corners, and one of them has been converted. Swung in to the edge of the 6-yard box. Willy Bolly and Leander Dendoncker jumped. The ball dropped down, and Dendoncker reacted quickest and smashed it home with his right foot. Leicester 0, Wolves 1.
Thank you very much, Alistair. 0-0 here. The rain still teeming down at St James's Park as Callum Chambers clears away for Arsenal. The new change strip, yellow and navy. And Newcastle still licking their wounds a little bit, it feels. Having lost Rafa Benitez, I know that Benitez's name was sung by Newcastle fans at many of the pre-season friendlies. Steve Bruce would love an opening 3 points here to turn the crowd round on his side. I would say it's been neutral so far. It's not been overwhelmingly in love with Bruce. It's been in support of the team, but not heard any negativity really from Newcastle
fans. No, fans has been very good to back the team. You wouldn't say they were singing a lot of songs, but there's no grumbling going on.
That's a good first touch by Ritchie. Tries to cross to the left-hand side for Newcastle, and Callum Chambers is well positioned, and he's able to clear it away. Newcastle fans finding their feet and finding their noise and roaring on some encouragement. There were some protests against Mike Ashley outside the ground, but I think it's safe to say those were in the tens, maybe the low hundreds, rather than any sort of mass protest. Dominant possession for Newcastle, just inside the Arsenal half. Almiron further up the field. And here's a chance for Mankio as he bears in, and out comes Leno. Now, this is the new era of football, Chris. This is where you can't celebrate goals too early. Also, Alistair Bruce-Ball, you can't report goals too early.
Well, you can, and then you have to come back and correct it. The Leicester fans are celebrating. The Wolves goal has been ruled out. A VAR check has decided that the ball hit Willy Bolly's arm as Dendoncker and Bolly jumped. The ball came off Bolly's arm, fell to Dendoncker, and he smashed it home with his right foot. To my mind, I mean, the referees know better than me. Bolly is jumping to try and win a header. His arm is in a natural position. It's a completely accidental handball, and it's dropped down, and Dendoncker smashed it home. I'm pretty sure that's what it's been ruled out for. We'll find out more after the game. Bottom line is, though, goal doesn't stand. Leicester 0, Wolves 0. Bit harsh for me.
And Alistair, I mean, one of the big things the Premier League spoke about this summer was they were going to try and show replays to the crowd. Has that happened at the King Power?
All we got on the big screens at either end here was just VAR checking and then no goal. And again, you know, it's one of those decisions that I think the fans inside the stadium would argue about, because it's one of those subjective ones. Was it handball? Wasn't it? Was the arm in an unnatural position? Plenty to be discussed there. They're showing the replays again on our monitors, but not on the big screens inside the stadium. Leicester 0, Wolves 0.
Right, yeah. I mean, I do know the Premier League are hoping to have, if there's a definitive replay, they'll show it. But of course, what's definitive in football these days? Everything can be questioned to one edge or other. Back to Alistair, if there's any change in developments there at the King Power. While discussing that, Arsenal have had 2 half chances. Aubameyang tried to loop one in and ended up on the roof of the net, and then a real whipped-in corner by Reece Nelson flashed dangerously across the face of goal, but there was no one to put the final touch on it. Newcastle about to make a change. First substitution in the Premier League of the Steve Bruce era, and it's one of their new signings, Jetro Willems, on loan from Eintracht Frankfurt. Newcastle have got the option to make this transfer permanent at the end of the season if all goes well. Newcastle fans about to get their first look at him. He is a speedy defender. He's got 22 caps for the Netherlands, but none in the last 3 years. He's a player whose career started great. He's got off the rails a little bit. Can he rediscover the form now at Newcastle? As John Joe Shelby, looking very unhappy about the change, is the man who makes way.
Well, body language, John Joe Shelby never looks as if he's happy about the decision, is he? When he comes off, he thinks he should be playing. And listen, he hasn't done anything wrong. It's tactical. You can see that. So, no, I think Steve Bruce believes he can get at his back four of Arsenal now.
So where is Willems going to play? We'll wait for things to settle down a little bit. 0-0 at St James's Park between Newcastle and Arsenal. Monreal plays it up to Joe Willock, who's probably been Arsenal's best player, but as I say that, he can't control it and spills off the field of play. Mankio takes the throw in for Newcastle, and Cher onto Hayden. Now Mankio. And for the moment it looks like Jetro Willems is going to play pretty much where John Joe Shelby was, in the middle of the midfield, actually in a almost attacking position, that left of the 3 midfielders.
Well, you've got Longstaff now, and Hayden can sit and be the defensive, and they're probably saying to him, look, go and float around, go and float around now, see if you can make that attack 3 attackers, and let's have a go.
Here is Joe Linton inside the centre circle, the new big money signing, easily dispossessed by Guendouzi. Joe Linton ended up dumped at his backside. Little 1-2. Guendouzi to the edge of the penalty area, lays it off to Aubameyang. Can he get into a shooting position? Hits at the outside of the right boot, hits a defender, claims it might have struck an arm. Play on to the referee. Guendouzi's going to try and keep it alive, but he miscontrols, and that goes out for a throw in to Newcastle. Left full back position for them. 10 minutes into the second half, still scoreless.
Well, it is interesting how Steve Bruce has changed this. As I say, John Joe Shelby wasn't doing anything wrong. It's purely tactical. He seems to have just said to Willems, go out and play. Like, I don't know where he's actually started.
No, he's running around,
right down deep now. Look, he's
taking the throw in now.
He's taking the throw in.
Well, it's a hunger. He wants to be involved. We can say that about Jethro Willems, as he prepares to take the throw in on the far side, gives it in towards Matt Ritchie, headed on to Almiron, and then challenged by Callum Chambers. The ball goes out of play for a Newcastle throw. He definitely started the midfield. He ran up into an attacking position left wing, and now he's back taking the throw-ins, and presumably he's got to a sort of a left wing back position, and Matt Ritchie's been put. No, now look at him, he's running up forward again. Yeah, I think this is going to have to settle down a little bit before we work out exactly where Newcastle's new signing is going to play. Forward by Shear for Newcastle, too far forward, sails over everyone.
He's got left hand side. Matt Ritchie now is going tucked in.
Yeah.
Longstaff's pushing on it.
Good work by Shear to win it back. Now Joe Linton, ball at his feet, attacking the penalty area. First time this has happened. Heavy touch though. You don't have that sort of room in the Premier League. He veered in field, and Guendouzi came across to intercept it. Xhaka gets it back for Arsenal. Monreal onto Reece Nelson. This is inside the final third for Arsenal. They've given it away. Longstaff onto Ritchie. Dramatic chest forward. And then Almiron, but you can see what he was trying to do there. He hit a blind pass into where he assumed Ritchie was running. And to be fair to Matt Ritchie, to like this, Ritchie applauds it. He said, yes, you're right. That was a good idea. I just hadn't anticipated it.
Yeah, Newcastle has changed the shape. Ritchie's gone inside now. He's playing behind the front two. Longstaff alongside Hayden, and as you say, Willems has gone to the left-hand side. Almiron's come to his right-hand side. They're all over the place at the minute, Newcastle.
They are. It's difficult to see what Steve Bruce has changed here, and it's taking some readjustment. Joe Linton, by the way, brought in on a 6-year contract, and Sam Maximan, who's on the bench, the new signing from East, he's also been given a 6-year contract, and I'm told that those are the longest contracts Newcastle Football Club have given out since the days of Alan Pardew. 3 at the back for Newcastle, and everyone else is pushing up right now.
Everybody, yeah. So they're playing with wing backs now. Willems has gone to the left hand side. Ritchie's gone into midfield with Longstaff and Hayden, and 2 up front still.
Alan Pardew, of course, was famously given that 8-year contract, which I think has only just run out. Here is Dummett inside the centre circle. Newcastle playing left to right. Interception by Maitland-Niles, who's built up ahead of steam here. He's got Mkhitaryan inside him. He's given a good ball to Aubameyang. Chance! Goal for Arsenal! Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang picks up where he left off last campaign. He was cool as a cucumber there, took it down, didn't rush it, prodded it beyond the goalkeeper Dubravka. Newcastle, who just began to push forward and commit bodies into the Arsenal half, they've been stung down the other end. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 1, and it's Aubameyang getting his new campaign underway.
I've always said Aubameyang's good when he plays 2-touch football. It was a great first touch and a lovely finish. We know he can do that. Proved it last season, wherever he's been in his career. But you've got to say, Dummett plays the ball to Willems, who hesitates. Nails picks it up. Maitland picks it up. He's away. But then Shear's far too far forward. Lascelles doesn't know whether to go with who. And it's a great first touch, and it's a lovely finish. You've got to say, Aubameyang, 2 touches. He's a very, very good player.
Well, you wouldn't say that goal was coming. Arsenal, who haven't done much in this second half. There was a wayward shot from Aubameyang that landed on the roof of the net soon after half-time. That was been about it. And yet, when you have a quality striker like that, you give him an opportunity, and Newcastle's defence was nowhere near close enough to Aubameyang there. He has scored the goal that puts Arsenal in front away from home on the opening weekend of the new Premier League season. 22 Premier League goals, same as Salah and Mane, the Liverpool pair last season. He got another 10 goals or so in the cup competitions, Aubameyang, and he is up and motoring again.
Yep, you can see he scores goals. I tell you, when he plays 2-touch football, he looks a very good player, doesn't he? It's when he has them 3-4 touches, he normally loses it or misses, but he's off again. He's sharp.
Here he goes, full of confidence now. Aubameyang out towards the corner flag on the left-hand side. Newcastle rattled a little bit. Lascelles tried to take it off Aubameyang. Good play by Lascelles. Got to credit Maitland-Niles in the build-up to the goal. He made a brilliant surge down the right wing to set things in motion. Here is Joe Willock. Arsenal look far more relaxed now, and he stumbles as he crosses it, and it sails over everyone, and that goes out for a goal kick. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 1 here. Back to Twickenham, England against Wales in a Rugby World Cup warm-up. Sonia McLaughlin.
Yeah, the crowd enjoying this. It's England 24, Wales 14. George North has just got Wales their second try of the game. Dan Biggar missed the conversion though. Remember, if Wales were to win here, they'd end the day as world number 1. It's England 24, Wales 14.
Thanks very much, Sonia. We've got Manchester United against Chelsea to come at 4:30 here on 5 Live. This is the new 5 Live Premier League Sundays. You're going to hear wall-to-wall Premier League football on Sundays this season on 5 Live, part of 140 Premier League games. We have more live commentaries than any other UK broadcaster of the Premier League this season. Willock onto Monreal, Arsenal leading, and the Newcastle support has been stunned somewhat by that. All the noise at the moment coming from Arsenal fans housed high up to our left-hand side here at St James's Park. Pulling the shirt of Socrates by Almiron. Referee spotted it but waved play on. Aubameyang tries to run through, but actually the whistle now has been blown for a foul on Mkhitaryan. And Newcastle need to get things together. Chris, I don't want to be overcritical of Steve Bruce. First game in charge, difficult job, all that. We spoke about in the build-up to the goal how disjointed the team looked. The sub came on and we didn't know who was playing where. How much did that contribute to the timing of the goal?
I think a great deal. I know the pass was short by Dummett, and he'll say it's nothing to do with systems, but it was. Nobody was marking, everybody switched off, they all pushed forward. Just sloppy pass by Dummett. But I just wondered, did they need to change it? They were in the game, there was nothing in it, all right? Don't look like they're going to score, but Arsenal didn't look like they were going to score. So you think, you know what, it's not a bad result, let's just keep going and see what happens. He's changed the system, changed the shape, and it could prove costly.
Newcastle, who lost 17 league games last season, they spent so much time in the relegation zone. I think it was something like a quarter of the campaign Newcastle spent in the bottom 3. Only the clubs who ended up being relegated ultimately had spent longer in the bottom 3 than Newcastle last season. 17 defeats in the Premier League. Are they going to lose their opening game of this new campaign, having played well for the opening hour thereabouts, but now finding themselves behind? Wayward ball for Mkhitaryan. Not been at his best today, Mkhitaryan. He's misjudged quite a lot.
Clever player as well. Get him in the right position on the ball. He sees a pass, doesn't he? Clever. He's a lot of things which a lot of players on his park don't see. But as you say, he seems to have overhit everything today.
On the ground he's been fine. It's when he's tried to play long passes, that's where it's been poor from here. The rain gets heavy once again. There's so many Newcastle fans being absolutely dragged down here. As Jetro Williams tries to come forward the left-hand side, he's taken down by Maitland-Niles. That will be a free kick to Newcastle. They've still got half an hour here, Chris. What does Steve Bruce got to do to get this to
bring on? He's got to bring on St. Maximum. Got to bring him on. He's a trick. He's clever. He can make the crowd going, and he can produce on his day.
This is Ritchie. That's a bad ball into the penalty area, all from deep on the left-hand side, but punched away by Leno. Arsenal get it back in the middle of the midfield. 1-0 to Arsenal on 5 Live. Here comes Joe Willock over the halfway line. Hayden comes back. Excellent tackle by Hayden. Sliding in, no margin for error there, but he won it cleanly. And then Lascelles chests the ball down for Ritchie, and Ritchie helps it back to the goalkeeper, Dubravka. Arsenal are about to bring on one of their new signings, Dani Ceballos, talented young Spaniard, part of the Spain under-21 team that won the European Championships this past summer. He was named in the team of the tournament. This could be quite a coup, this signing. We're about to see Dani Ceballos in the Premier League for the first time, and he will be coming on to replace. It'll be Joe Willock who's going off. While this change has been made, back to the King Power Stadium, Alistair Bruce ball.
This game's really livened up in the second half. 25 minutes to play, Leicester 0, Wolves 0. Wolves fans, I think, still chuntering a little that their goal was disallowed for a handball by Willy Bolly from the corner. It fell to Dendoncker, not spotted by Andre Mariner on the pitch, but ruled out by the video assistant referee. The Premier League have immediately tweeted saying any goal scored or created with the use of the hand or arm will be disallowed in this Premier League season, even if it is accidental under the laws of the game. Any goal scored or created with the use of the hand or arm will be disallowed. That is what's happened. Leicester 0, Wolves 0.
Thanks very much, Alistair. 1-0 to Arsenal here at St James's Park. Newcastle preparing a change. One of their new signings getting ready to come on as well, but Dani Ceballos is into the midfield for Arsenal, wearing number 8. Here's Matt Ritchie, 10 yards outside the Arsenal penalty area, gives it out towards Willems on the left hand side. Good recovery by the defence though. Maitland-Niles got back there. He does a big high five with Guendouzi because they feel they managed that very well. They got it out for a goal kick.
Well, it's who does he take off, or who will definitely be coming on? Say Maximum. So who will be coming off? Is it Matt Ritchie? Is it going to be one of the
Hayden maybe.
Well, he's a sitting midfield player alongside Longstaff. I don't know if he's willing to take the risk. I can see Ritchie coming up.
Let's go back to Twickenham. News of another try England against Wales. Sonia.
Yeah, it's England 24, Wales 19. The momentum very much with Warren Gatland's men. 2 quick tries. First it was George North, we told you about that. Now replacement prop Wyn Jones has wiggled over after a patient build-up by the pack. It's England 24, Wales 19.
Thanks very much, Sonia. We'll be back with Sonia regularly. Commentary of that game available right now on 5 Live Sports Extra. Here comes Jetro Williams, tries to get into the penalty area on the far side. Held up by Arsenal though. Free kick has been awarded to the visitors, and we are about to see Alain Saint-Maximin come on, French under-21 forward. His Premier League debut, £16.5 million from Nice, and it is a midfielder he's replacing. Sean Longstaff makes way.
He's obviously going to ask Matt, I'm sure only going to look at as Matt Ritchie to go and sit near Hayden, but
again, just like John Treshelvey, Sean Longstaff looks distraught to be taken off. Not happy with that. On comes the new man. They love a new signing. St James's Park cheers and hollers for Alain Saint-Maximin and hope that he will be able to make some sort of an impact here. There is undoubtedly something of the Mario Balotellis about this guy. When he's good, he's brilliant, but he can be very average as well. And boy is he flashy. He used to wear a Gucci headband at Nice. I think someone at Newcastle took him aside and said maybe don't wear the Gucci headband at St James's Park, that mightn't go down too well. Not until you've scored your first 100 goals anyway. Here he is, first touch, keeping it in play by the byline on the right hand side. Stocky figure of Alain Saint-Maximin, tries to play it infield to Isaac Hayden, who gives it back out to the new man. Here he goes, all bluster to the byline, right hand side, whips it in, brilliant ball across goal and put out. Oh, the Newcastle fans love that. They hope this guy's the new hero. First impressions, good.
Well, they love a player like this. We saw Ben Arthur, players like that. Yeah, the fans took to him, loved his ability. Not all the coaches do. I can see this similar going down here for Maximin.
Yeah, Steve Bruce says that he's going to have some torrid times with Saint-Maximin. He knows it already. He's going to break his heart on occasion. But that was a forward thrust, exactly what Newcastle need as they chase the game here. Low corner played in, Almiron hits it. Oh, it was a rehearsed move that nearly worked. Matt Ritchie played in the corner low. Almiron knew what was happening and was onto it. He shot on target and hit a body and went out for another corner.
Well worked, training ground routine.
Midway through the second half, 1-0 Arsenal. Good game this now, as Ritchie prepares the latest corner, left-footed, out-swinging, headed away by Granit Xhaka. Jetro Williams controls, been urged to shoot by thousands of Newcastle fans. He pits a tame ball back in towards the Arsenal penalty area, which Ainsley Maitland-Niles can clear easily. And look how many players Newcastle are leaving up forward here. They are going for the equaliser. Feels like Steve Bruce says that we might as well lose this 2-0 rather than give everything to make it 1-1.
Yeah, and then they've got I suppose it's a massive game already in the season, and Norwich away next week. Then they've got Tottenham away. Yeah,
it's 2 away games back to back next for Newcastle. Their next home game is right at the end of August when Watford come here, but Norwich and Tottenham the next 2. And as Aston Villa found out yesterday, Tottenham are going to be very difficult to beat again this season. Out comes Leno, miscued clearance, went straight up into the air. Now they're claiming it's a back pass. There's no way that was a back pass. It was hit up like a big Gary Owen in rugby. But Leno came out and did well under pressure from Ritchie in the air. Arsenal have it on the halfway line. Dani Ceballos, neat touch by him, back to Callum Chambers. Arsenal have the lead. Can they hold on to it? There was that stat last season that Arsenal, throughout the whole campaign, they only kept 1 clean sheet away from home in the Premier League, away from their home stadium. That was the fewest of any team in the top flight last season. So Newcastle be aware of that and know that there's a blind spot there for this Arsenal defence. But they've done okay so far today, Arsenal. Here's Granit Xhaka, sent to circle, pretty much all to himself. Rolls it to the left-hand side to Monreal. Now out to Reece Nelson, cutting in off the left wing, trying to give it infield. Isaac Hayden's done a good job. And now on to Saint-Maximin, who tries to control it, lunges out, and he's committed a foul. And Granit Xhaka there studs down onto the instep of the Swiss international. Martin Atkinson was a bit behind that. I don't know whether he had a great view of it, but it looks like it's going to be a free kick and maybe a little talking to, but nothing else.
I don't think there was any intent. He was just a little bit late. He had a bad first touch, didn't he? He thought he could nick it, and he just caught him. So a little bit of a drink break here for Arsenal, coming over the dugout, 2 or 3 of them. So But I'm just looking already. I know it's first day. You can't fault the honesty in Newcastle. They've worked the socks off. They give everything. They're not hating. It's not where you look at a team and think, well, you just think where they're going to score goals. And this is the big problem. You can be organised, nice shape about you, which they had, but when you're looking at chances, what really are they creating?
Right, big moment for Arsenal fans. Nicolas Pepe, the Ivorian, club record signing, £72 million from Lille, and on he comes for his Premier League debut, and he replaces Reece Nelson. So having started with Willock and Nelson, it's now Pepe and Ceballos who's come on for them. And arguably you could say Arsenal might be finishing this game, Chris, with a stronger 11 on the pitch than they started.
Yeah, well, we all thought these guys would start, didn't they? But he's gone with what he knows. So it'll not be long before they are on the starting 11.
Pepe has come on wearing these sort of purple coloured boots you see lots of the players of the Premier League wearing on this opening weekend. He's gone straight up top. Looks like he's going to play on the right hand side. Aubameyang to his left. But Nicolas Pepe is into the middle and lurking in the penalty area. Only Kylian Mbappe was involved in more Ligue 1 goals than Nicolas Pepe last season. In Ligue 1 in France, this is Granit Xhaka dispossessed. Almiron tries to come away. Good recovery by Xhaka, who's then claiming that once he made the tackle that the last touch came off Almiron. Referee and his assistants say no, and that will be a throw into Newcastle taken by Manquillo. Back to Fabian Schär, who was moved with linked with a move away from Newcastle this summer. Apparently Lazio were interested in him, but here he is, still in the Newcastle shirt. Back to Dubravka, and cleared away by Dummett down the left-hand side, forward towards Joelinton. It's still only been a bit part that Joelinton has had in the game, the new £40 million signing. Dummett plays it forward low, looking for Joelinton again, cut out by Granit Xhaka. Pepe's after it, looking for his first touch, but beaten to the ball by Leno, who comes sliding out to win possession. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 1. We've got 18 minutes of normal time to play here. Coming up at 4:30, big game at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United against Chelsea, and our correspondent John Murray's got the teams.
So I can confirm, Connor, the Premier League debuts for Harry Maguire and Aaron Wan-Bissaka for Manchester United. Pereira plays in midfield for United with McTominay and Pogba. And the headlines for Chelsea: Kante is only on the bench. He was a doubt for this, as is Pulisic. Young Mount and Abraham are both in the team, as are Barkley and Kovacic. Rudiger and Willian both absent, injured.
Thank you very much, John. John Murray, who will be alongside Andy Townsend at 4:30, part of 5 Live Premier League Sunday here on 5 Live and on BBC Sounds. Arsenal have still got the lead. Goal from Aubameyang in this second half. Newcastle, who've brought on the new man, Alain Saint-Maximin, but trying to get him into the game a little bit more. And at the moment, Chris Waddle, Newcastle being forced to defend.
Yeah, and I think you can't fault their honesty, their desire. I think we saw better performances in black and white shirts. Scher's been very disappointing today, and you just mentioned there about moved nearly in the summer to Italy or somewhere. Sometimes you think, is he really up for this game? He hasn't looked like it today, but the honesty of the team's been good. I don't think you can fault that, but you can have as much honesty as you want. It's quality in the final third, and they haven't shown it today.
Yeah, Newcastle need to show some of the resilience of Tottenham yesterday, having got a goal down. Almiron's pass is wayward of Richie, who's been full of hard running, and he's trying to encourage his teammates here. He's waving his hands, he's bellowing encouragement to those others in black and white. But Newcastle have struggled to make that connection between midfield and the front players, and yet one goal can change everything here. I think if they could come away with the 1-1 draw, Steve Bruce would be accentuating all the positives later on. We'll speak to him on 5 Live. Now here is Alain Saint-Maximin turning like a big ocean liner, a wide arc, and he turns around to face the penalty area, and there's a fizz of electricity around the stadium whenever he does get on the ball. This is Isaac Hayden. Back out to Jetro Willems. He cuts in off the left wing. Low ball into the penalty area is good. This is Richie near the byline. Scoops it up high, but scoops it too close to the goalkeeper, and he kicks the electronic advertising board in frustration. Matt Ritchie, normally a very reliable crosser, needed to do better there.
Yeah, better again. We've said that a lot today, haven't we? Final third, lack of quality, not good enough delivery, not final pass, let them down. And this has been Newcastle today. As I say, they're honest, they work their socks off, and for long periods there's been nothing between these. Aubameyang's goals being the difference, obviously. But that's the only sort of real bit of class we've saw.
Here comes Aubameyang, he's in possession just outside the penalty area. Onto Mkhitaryan, low cross is straight at Jamal Lascelles, and he clears it out for a throw into Arsenal on the left. We've not seen too much of Dani Ceballos so far in the Arsenal midfield. He's been neat and tidy, nothing has stood out of note so far in terms of
big difference in it when you're playing Premier League. It's fast, it's physical, it's non-stop, it's relentless.
Throw in, Monreal taking his time over it, gives it short to Aubameyang. Pepe waiting patiently in the penalty area, hoping it'll come to him. Granit Xhaka wins a header on the halfway line, and then Callum Chambers decides he'll turn and roll it all the way back to Leno. Arsenal host Burnley next weekend. That's next Saturday in the Premier League. Then they've got a really big one, Liverpool away, and followed by another really big one, Tottenham at home. Here's Guendouzi inside the centre circle. Manchester United against Chelsea to come at 4:30. Maguire and Wan-Bissaka both in the Manchester United team. Pereira tries to return a ball for Ceballos, who hadn't continued the run, and Hayden was well positioned to cut it out and clear out for an Arsenal throw. Arsenal remain on the attack. Throw in for them down the left hand side. Really big collection of Arsenal fans have travelled up from London. They've completely filled that top tier. And they'll be pleased. I mean, it's not been spectacular from their team today, but they'll be very pleased if they can hold on to this lead for the next 14 minutes now and come away with 3 points on the opening weekend of the season. Aubameyang tight to the corner flag, been held up by Cher, and then Monreal fell to the last touch, came off a Newcastle player there, but the referee Martin Atkinson says no. He was close to it. He says that is a throw into Newcastle, and Manquillo will be the man to take.
Arsenal not mind this kind of scrappy, isn't it? It's no passes put together. The ball's been a lot of stoppages, ball going out of play, but Arsenal will not be worried about that. They're winning 1-0. It's up to Newcastle here to have last 15 minutes to have a go here, and just if you get beat two, you get beat two.
Maitland-Niles with a clumsy back pass which Leno has to burst out of his penalty area to head away. Arsenal just need composure now. Here comes Alain Saint-Maximin. He runs towards the edge of the penalty area and he dramatically falls on the ground. I think he just slipped there.
Foyne-Haven
is right. He had the glory in his sights. He was running 1,000,000 miles an hour and he just collapsed. The feet went from underneath him. And I think instinctively Newcastle fans screamed for a free kick, but there was no defender near him. It can't be a free kick. Manquillo now wants one. He went around Ceballos, but referee not interested in that one either. And Arsenal get the chance to counter away. That was bizarre from Alain Saint-Maximin. He was like one of those little kid toys that you wind up. Loads of energy at the start, but then it all drizzled away. And the feet went out from underneath him. Foyne-Haven, as Chris Waddle says. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 1.
It was like a steeplechase that in water jump comes appears and all of a sudden you don't realise it's there.
He's going to be fun and games, is Alain Saint-Maximin. And Newcastle fans will hope they'll be positive. Monreal takes his time over the throw-in. He's frustrating Newcastle here. Down towards Mkhitaryan, tries to glide it in field. That's just returning the ball to Martin Dubravka. 6:06 with Robbie Savage and Emma Jones coming up at 6:30 this evening. Monday Night Club returns on 5 Live tomorrow. Ian Wright and Chris Sutton back in the saddle. And of course the podcasts of all those programmes available on BBC Sounds as per usual as well. Back to the King Power. Leicester against Wolves. Alistair Bruceball, closing stages there too.
Yeah, 10 minutes to play plus added time. Leicester 0, Wolves 0. The Dendoncker goal for Wolves ruled out for a willy-bolly handball spotted by the VAR. Ayoze Perez's debut for Leicester is over. Albrighton's come on for him. Warm applause from the Leicester fans for Ayoze Perez. He was in and out of the game. He'll have a much bigger impact throughout the season, but did okay. And Patrick Cotrone, the young Italian striker signed from AC Milan, is on for Wolves. Leicester 0, Wolves 0.
Thanks very much, Alistair. We have got 11 minutes to play here, and Arsenal have got themselves a throw-in in a defensive position. Steve Bruce bends over, picks up a bottle of water, prepares to take a swig from it. He's made the changes. Jetro Williams, Alain Saint-Maximin on. Newcastle not really troubling the Arsenal goalkeeper. Willems here plays the ball in field. Isaac Hayden with a crossfield ball that's intercepted from Monreal. I think Arsenal fans will be pleased with Monreal today. He's got this new competition for a place with the arrival of Kieran Tierney as a left back, but he's got stuck in today, shown the right attitude. Here comes Mkhitaryan onto Aubameyang. Where's the Newcastle defence? Good recovery by Manquillo, just as it looked like Aubameyang might have been in again. Almiron fouled by Xhaka, surely. Play on, says the referee. Well, he was going to, and then he stopped. Well, isn't that bizarre? He indicated play on, and then when the Newcastle players kept insisting, then he said, OK, that's a free kick, and he's going to show a yellow card. Yellow card to Granit Xhaka.
I totally agree. What's the referee thinking? He says play on, you're all right. Yellow card, but I think Steve Bruce will look at this and look today, and he may even look at the video again and look and think, I've learned a lot about the team already. I think we've got a lot of endeavour, a lot of honesty, but how am I going to produce that quality in the final third? And it's the hardest part of football, unfortunately.
It's obviously very early days, but from an Arsenal point of view, do you think the new signings make them look a stronger side now?
Well, if they get them on the pitch, they've got to hit the ground running, haven't they? It's all right coming in, but you've got to say they've not been tested at the back today, so you cannot really judge how good Arsenal are today at the back.
Granit Xhaka onto Guendouzi. And he's been a good signing. Not many knew much about him before he arrived last summer, but he looks so at home now in the middle of the Arsenal midfield. Guendouzi. Here is Mkhitaryan. 9 minutes to play. For the first time, the Newcastle defence looks tired, not closing Arsenal down as much as you would expect. Ceballos here turns on the edge of the D, gives it back out to the left. Monreal pushes in front of Mkhitaryan, tight for the byline. Good recovery by Cher, and it ricochets out off the Arsenal man Mkhitaryan for a goal kick. Still time for Newcastle if they can get it forward.
Well, you wouldn't say Arsenal are driving for that second goal, would you? They're trying to keep the ball, run the time down, and frustrate Newcastle.
Yeah, I think Arsenal just want to be steady here, not do anything silly, don't make a mistake that would give Newcastle a chance. I mean, over the course of the game, there was one shot, wasn't there, Joe Linton, where he blasted it dead straight at Leno, and I'm struggling to think of any other on-target shots that Newcastle have had. Here comes Alain Saint-Maximin, bit of a headless chicken down the left wing, loses possession. Joe Linton comes in to help him out and wins it back again. This is Matt Ritchie, 10 yards inside the Arsenal half, flicks it back to Cher, who's got a lot of room near the centre circle. Now further to the right hand side is Manquillo. Joe Linton wants it played in high. It's not a great cross, too close to the goalkeeper. Leno's able to backpedal and gather it. That final third, final ball continues to be the weak spot for Newcastle.
I know we keep harping on about it, but it's so important for the game. You know, this level of football, you've got to have that quality, and it's shown today that's where Newcastle are going to make this a hard season.
Rain still falling, hasn't stopped all afternoon. Dani Ceballos on his Arsenal debut lays the ball off to Mkhitaryan. Arsenal are slowing this down to a walking pace now, and they're getting ready to bring on Gabriel Martinelli, one of their new signings, who looks very fresh-faced as he gets his studs checked by the fourth official. He's directly in front of us, about 50 metres in front of us, and he looks full of youthful enthusiasm down there as he gets ready to come on for Arsenal. Isaac Hayden for Newcastle plays it forward to Joe Linton, manages to hold off Callum Chambers in turn, gives it to his left hand side. Jethro Williams onto Alain Saint-Maximin, into the penalty area, onto his right boot, hits it, and the goalkeeper gets down to save. Well, he needed a little bit more power on it, but the movement was good from Saint-Maximin there.
Well, that's what you're getting from him. Listen, at times he'll come in, he'll overrun it, he'll lose it, that's the way he plays. Every now and again he just produces that bit of magic.
Newcastle 0, Arsenal 1. Just over 6.5 minutes to play, and Arsenal win a free kick, and they're being quite stubborn, quite professional. You could say about how they're seeing this out. As Martinelli comes on in place of Mkhitaryan.
Yeah, Mkhitaryan started on the right, ended up playing on the left of a 3, in a sort of a 4-3-3, 4-5-1. He's had a lot of ball, which you expect a lot more quality from him. He's overhit a lot of passes today.
So Arsenal have changed the 3 attacking midfielders that started the game. Joe Willock, Reece Nelson, Henrik Mkhitaryan. Those 3 have now gone off, with Dani Ceballos, Nicolas Pepe and Gabriel Martinelli all on for their Premier League debut. €6 million they paid for Gabriel Martinelli from Ituano, which in today's money is very much small beer for Premier League clubs, and the enormous billions that have been spent as an accumulated total. This is Guendouzi, happy to take the challenge, happy for it to be a throw-in, knowing that it just runs the clock down that little bit more, and there's just over 5 minutes of normal time to go. Steve Bruce brushes his hand through his hair. This team have not been outclassed today by any distance, not been much in it, and yet, as things stand, Newcastle about to leave empty-handed unless they can come up with something. Here's Joe Linton, turns well, pushes it in front of Alan Saint-Maximin. He tries to come in field of Maitland-Niles. Good recovery. It looked like he was going to check his run there, and Maximin didn't. He surged for the byline, but Maitland-Niles has seen it all before. Good challenge, and Arsenal are able to get it away. Danny Ceballos takes advantage of a wayward pass, gives it on to Aubameyang. Here comes the cross. Pepe is lurking, but it doesn't get through to him. Cleared away by Cher. Newcastle get it back again, but they're back inside their final third. The Newcastle fans urging them to get it up the field. Pepe's not had many touches since coming on for his Arsenal debut, but he was in a good position there. Aubameyang just unable to find him. Here come Newcastle again. More of this in just a moment, but quickly to Twickenham, England-Wales, Sonia McLaughlin.
Yeah, it's England 30, Wales 19. Looks like Eddie Jones's men are going to end Wales's 14-match winning streak. 2 penalties from fly half. George Ford looks to have taken the game away from Wales, who could have gone to world number 1 if they had got a draw or a win here today. You had Will Ferrell, the actor, I believe, at Portsmouth yesterday. We're going to raise you that with Daniel Craig, James Bond himself, sitting amongst the non-playing England members. It's 30 points to 19.
Thanks very much, Sonia. Commentary of the closing stages on 5 Live Sports Extra. Here, Fabian Cher took on a shot from him. He was miles out, 35 yards. You can sort of say, well, look, give a go. You know, why not? So many of his teammates, Chris, were furious with us. They said, don't do that. Come on.
Well, what is there, 4 or 5 minutes left, and there's a chance to put the ball in the box. They've got a lot of shirts forward, and he shoots from, 40 yards.
Blazed way off target. Here's Matt Ritchie, challenged by Martinelli. Down he goes. Free kick given to Newcastle. Immediately Ritchie is waving his teammates forward. He said, get up, get in the box. Matt Ritchie then throws that. The free clearly was several yards behind that. He's trying to get closer and closer to the Arsenal penalty area here. The referee, I think, is going to allow that to happen. Matt Ritchie, normally a reliable set-piece taker. Can he produce on a day when Newcastle's delivery has been poor? High towards the edge of the penalty area, towards Jamal Lascelles, under pressure from Guendouzi. Alan Saint-Maximin takes it off him. Guendouzi with a very important touch. Pepe using his strength to hold it up for Arsenal. Spills and spins 360 degrees, wins a free kick, and Newcastle come away empty-handed once again.
Really good play. Strong defending as well, and they'll run the clock down now. They're a very experienced team. You know, they'll be delighted with 3 points. You're not going to say Arsenal have played how we expect Arsenal to play, the way they can move the ball, the ability they've got on that side. They've grinded a result here today. It's not been pretty, and it would be an interesting, you put Aubameyang in Newcastle's number 9 shirt, would the game be 1-0 to Newcastle?
Well, Arsenal have always been a tricky opponent in the Premier League era for Newcastle. Only Manchester United have won more times away from home here against Newcastle than any other team other than Arsenal. As Ceballos here gives it into Granit Xhaka. This composed, professional closing out of the game we've been speaking about from Arsenal continues as Martinelli makes a burst for the byline, sends in a low cross, and Newcastle are able to get it away. Lascelles clashed into Fabian Cher there, but they've got the ball away, and up to the exciting Alan Saint-Maximin. Here he goes, the hair dangling behind him. He tries to hold off the challenge. He goes down. Play on, says the referee, as Almiron gives it back to Joe Linton, who puts it too high. Well, I don't think he was ever fully committed to that shot, and it goes away off target, and it remains Newcastle 0, Arsenal 1.
I just wonder, Connor, if they'd let the ball run and took the free kick in a good position on the edge. I know it's easy saying at the time, but as you say, it was very ambitious from Joe Linton. So again, teams Arsenal now running the clock down, coming up to 89 minutes. I would probably think there's going to be 3 or 4 added.
Arsenal fans trying to sing their songs, Newcastle fans trying to drown them out with boos. It should be said about Joe Linton a bit. He's got the number 9 on, but he was a winger with Hoffenheim. He's never scored more than 8 league goals in a season in his career. He's not that out-and-out type of striker, but at the moment Newcastle don't have many choices. Dwight Gale's injured at the moment. Matt Ritchie plays it forward. That was intended for Saint-Maximin, but it was intercepted. And then Joe Linton will take it down on his chest. And Newcastle fans in the final minute of the 90 now groans as Joe Linton gives it away. He's tiring on his Premier League debut. Aubameyang tries a back heel that doesn't come off. Joe Linton gets another touch. Short to Manquillo. Back to Joe Linton. Arsenal trying to close down the danger. Almiron 15 yards outside the penalty area. Out to Saint-Maximin. Can he produce? Into the penalty area. Onto his right boot. Being held up by Guendouzi. Tries to turn back on his left. And he keeps it alive. To Willem. Here comes the cross into the middle. An attempted header by Scher, who'd gone forward. Dummett back into the mix. Newcastle giving it everything here, but Leno hasn't had to make a save. Dummett is up in the attack. The flag is raised against Almiron. Arsenal defenders turn and applaud the assistant, and Newcastle, is that their final hurrah as we move into 4 minutes of stoppage time?
Well, they were lazy there, weren't they, coming out? Arsenal just walked out a little bit quick. They didn't run out. They walked out about 5 yards. There was 3 or 4 Newcastle players who should have went with them, and they count from an offside position.
There's no shortage of endeavour here. Newcastle players are giving it everything, but that quality, when they get into attack, nobody's got a cool head. It's all a bit rushed. It's all a bit bluster. Leno waited as long as he dared there before taking the free kick, long into the Newcastle half. Ceballos controls, the new signing on loan from Real Madrid. Onto his fellow Spaniard, Nacho Monreal. Into Ceballos once again, midway inside the Newcastle half. Newcastle need to get possession. Clock running down on them. Granit Xhaka heads off towards the corner flag to try and run it down that little bit further. And then Martin Atkinson comes across and says there's a foul by Manquillo on Granit Xhaka. Arsenal are being very sensible in how they're doing this here.
Very experienced. Xhaka there just ran to the corner flag, knew exactly what he was doing, waited for the challenge. As soon as it come in, he hits the floor. Referee has to give it. And just running the clock down. Very experienced.
So frustrations for Newcastle. Don't forget Manchester United against Chelsea coming up at 4:30 here on 5 Live. More live Premier League football than any other broadcaster this season. Ceballos and Martinelli deciding what they're going to do with this free kick. It looks like they're going to just try and keep it in by the corner flag. So Unai Emery, who finished 5th last season, got the team to the Europa League final, but couldn't get his hand on that piece of silverware he won so many times in the past with Sevilla. Is he about to start with an opening weekend win in the Premier League? Here is Aubameyang, scorer of the only goal of the game so far. Lays it off to Nicolas Pepe, who we've not seen much of since coming on as a sub. Here is Aubameyang again, right hand side, up against the chalk of the touchline. Turns and gives it back to Maitland-Niles behind him. Infield to Martinelli. Back again, they retreat. Pepe, oh, that's a really good turn from Pepe, showing some poise there. The ball on the top for Aubameyang. This could finish it, but out comes the goalkeeper. Good alert play by Dubravka, right to the edge of his penalty area, and got there just ahead of Aubameyang, and he sends it long. Spinning ball, arcing through the rain, down inside the Arsenal half. Joe Linton flicks it on to Almiron. What a time this would be if he could get his first Newcastle goal, but it spills away from him, and Callum Chambers is able to clear, and offside flag raised against Pepe. Newcastle are going to get another chance here. Unai Emery feels this isn't one yet. He's wildly clapping his hands together. He wants concentration for his team. Arsenal would be gutted if they were to give away a late equaliser here. The time is almost up. Dubravka to take the free kick from inside the centre circle. Everyone back for Arsenal. Here it comes, floated towards the edge. Lascelles flicks it on. Joe Linton tries to get there. Down in the box he goes, but Leno falls on the ball and grabs it to his chest. And it remains Newcastle 0, Arsenal 1. Final whistle not blown here just yet. It is all over the King Power Stadium. We'll get at the details of that in just a moment. Ceballos plays it forward for Arsenal. Aubameyang with Lascelles. Oh, he's done well there. Put it one side of Lascelles, ran around the other and collected it. And Aubameyang heads off towards the corner flag to run that clock down. Martin Atkinson has a little glance at the watch. Those 4 minutes have evaporated very quickly from a Newcastle point of view. This is Monreal to Granit Xhaka. Left-hand side, scoops it into that corner flag area as Martinelli chases after it. Manquillo's going to get there just ahead of him and shields it out for a goal kick. And then the ball is kicked away by Martinelli, and that was a little bit naughty. No further action taken though by the officials, and Dubravka's got to play ball boy himself. Why have Newcastle not got someone to collect that ball for the goalkeeper?
Well, the ball boys have left with the fans to catch a bus.
Well, indeed, I think that is the sort of feeling. There we go, the final whistle, the celebrations for Arsenal as Unai Emery begins the new Premier League campaign with the win. Chris Waddle.
Yeah, I think Steve Bruce will have learned a lot about his side. They've got honesty, they were well organised, give everything, but the problem he's going to find for Steve is at the final third. Who's going to score the goals? Who's going to produce that bit of magic? That is the worry for him. But as for Arsenal, we'll judge them over the next few weeks when obviously the new signings come onto the pitch and start playing. But it looks like they've got a healthy squad, but I'm not sure about Arsenal defensively over the course of the season.
Aubameyang scored the goal. He's picked up where he left off last season. Arsenal win, defeat for Steve Bruce on his return to the Premier League. Newcastle 0, Arsenal 1.